pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I started saying it like a southern twang. Just because he started with it. Love you, Chuck. All right. Non-public and public meetings from the October 17th and November 7th meetings. Somebody like to move to
Make a
approve those?
motion to approve the non-public and public meeting minutes of October 17th and November 7th, 2024.
Second. Okay, motion by Carol, that guy over there. Second by Scott. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Consent.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda for 11/21/24, consisting of payroll payment manifest dated 11/13/24, payroll payment manifest dated 11/19/24, payroll payment manifest dated 11/21/24, distribution of funds from accrued wages in the amount of $13,273.49, water sewer department seasonal warrant in the amount of $23,457.18. Resignation of Lucille Keegan from Bristol Community Events effective 12/31/24. Appointment of this to the Sustainability Committee of Marilyn Buckland. That's it.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Dawn and a second by Les. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I just wanted to explain, I didn't have Marilyn Buckland come in. Everyone knows Marilyn Buckland, and it was a sustainability committee, and we've been jam-packed. So I didn't have her come in to her
I'm a
meeting.
little suspicious of her.
I think we talked.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
With a
so-
name like Buckland.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Okay. Mr. Chartier. Hot seat.
Do you want your folder, Jeff?
Let's talk about your truck.
Yeah, finally getting around to purchasing a truck. As you know, it's been a rough year for me, but I did get some pricing early on in the year to build one, and I didn't meet the deadline for that, so I had searched around the internet to see what I could find. They're all right around about what I budgeted for, but my budget was gonna include lettering on the truck and putting a radio in. So I did find this one. It's a little bit over, it's about, I think, $900 over. Yeah, that's the one there, from Grapponi.
Is that a crew cab?
It's actually, it's an extended cab, which is
Hard to tell.
kind of beneficial for us, because we have the locators and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shove those in the front seat, and it's a little difficult. So, and it's a blue truck, I know. I like sticking with the colors myself, but it's a dark blue, you know, it's, it almost looks black, yeah.
As long as it's not red, Jeff, we're good to go.
Yeah.
No, it's not like you guys are doing any plowing or anything, so like you said with the equipment, that's...
We may down the road, we set up the other one with the plow, but it's, we
Yeah.
have one plow truck now for doing our driveways, so.
But yeah, and even if you do, it's not like you're out
Right.
plowing the town with it,
Yeah.
so.
Primarily, it's gonna be used to transport the trench box, do some patching as we need to.
Yeah.
And then towing our jet rotor, it's nice to have that diesel power to pull that big
Yep.
jet rotor, so.
Good.
There's a purchase order in there if you're good with it. Jeff did budget, it was in the capital projects, 40,000 and 40,000, split between water and sewer. This is just a little bit over. So we split it evenly between water and sewer.
Make a motion to approve purchase order 2024-1003 in the amount of $80,945 for the purchase of a 2023 Ford Super Duty F350.
Second.
Motion by Carol, second by Scott to approve purchase order number 202.
Dawn.
Sean.
Dawn.
Sean.
It's been that kind of night.
Aye. Oh,
I like your sweater. No, I really do. Like, I'm like, that's very, makes me feel Christmassy.
Good.
So we have a motion by Carol, second by Dawn, to approve purchase order number 2024-1003. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations on your new truck.
Great. I'll let her know.
The second,
The second thing was just a bid.
yeah, I'm just gonna pull up that and one other thing, right? So you've already seen the, I didn't put it in here, did I? Not smart. You've already seen the bids at the last meeting. There was a conversation with Underwood Engineering, but we didn't actually, there it is. We didn't actually take a vote on this. So Underwood Engineering has fully vetted, Sargent.
Sorry.
Underwood Engineering has fully vetted Sargent Corporation. USDA has granted approval with stipulations.
Well, stipulations.
The stipulations were they were going to remove from the general contract via change order. So USDA does not want to hold up the award with these issues. So they said the contingency will be removed from the GC via change order upon contract execution. And they don't, because they're, apparently that camp is not allowed with rural development projects. The budget form needs work. The original budget column should contain the project cost data from the approved application. So Underwood's gonna make those two changes. It isn't gonna hold anything up there already. They've already approved us to go forward with the awarding, so. But this is the budget for it, your own, and there's a motion also I made, filled out in your folders, but I'll bring it up on the screen. If you agree, obviously Sargent Corporation was much cheaper than everybody else. The number that we would be approving would just be the bid amount, which is the 2.9.
Anybody have the motion in front of them?
I was gonna say, Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to?
Well, no, I just wanna put the motion on the floor and then we can open it up for discussion.
I put it up there for you,
Yeah.
too.
We'll make a motion to award the bid for the Central Street Pump Station and Force Main Project to Sargent Corporation in the amount of $2,939,900, and to approve the town administrator to sign the contract.
Second.
$2,939,900.
Okay, motion by Carol, second by
What's going on?
Les,
What's going on here?
to award the bid for the Central Street Pump Station and Force Main Project to the Sargent Corporation in the amount of $2,939,000 and $939,900.
There you go.
And to approve the town administrator to sign the contract. Discussion.
Do we have a CO detector in here?
I think we probably should, he's a pro.
I don't know.
I think that we discussed this at length last time,
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
and that we were good to go with
Yeah.
this the way it was.
I think Christina did you?
I think that and just to make sure that the board, and Jeff and I haven't had time to talk about it, we're gonna obviously look at the budget that's before you. Some of that money's already been spent. There is $40,500 that isn't accounted for in the budget, and that would be something Jeff and I can work out. But we don't
I
want to
think
hold this
some of that
project
might have
up.
been, because we put money towards this project already through capital reserves. or
Yeah, I think-
I think there'll
Is
be some credit towards that
Yeah,
40,000.
yeah.
Does anyone have any concern in approving this and letting Jeff and Christina work out the details of it? Okay.
No,
No.
We have the interim
we- yeah.
financing, we have the
Yep.
bond, we're all ready to go,
Yeah.
so.
I'm good with it, so, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We're good to go.
Great,
Thank you, Jeff.
PO.
Try to make it quick.
appreciate
No, I'll
that.
take the PO and then I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Have a
See
good
ya.
weekend
You too.
Oh, it's almost the weekend.
for him.
No, well, no, I have it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, that's not the PO, that's.
No, I know. Rob's still gonna sign it. See, do it, sign here, but then.
What do you do?
Just sign here also.
No, you guys don't sign those. You're
Okay.
just signing the front page. Sorry, that
No,
transfer is just the front page. So when I do the payouts for accrued wages, we don't have the board sign them, but the form is the same. we calculate it, I do it, someone verifies it, so there's always two people that look at the payouts. And then it comes to you, you just sign the front page, which is the transfer funds, so.
All right, John.
Okay.
You do not have this in your packet, but I'll pull it up.
So
John sent it.
We tried to do a little bit of data gathering for us all to sort of frame the conversation.
Just, that's my phone. Just for, so everybody knows, we're kind of continuing this discussion on short-term rentals with the planning board that we began having 2 weeks ago.
Short-term rentals and honestly expanded a little bit because I think one of the requests that I have of you guys is to really task the Economic Development Committee as well. And you'll see that at the end. You'll see why exactly at the end. So
I'm getting yours, but I was pulling everything up, sorry.
you're fine. Yeah, so
Where the heck is the
bottom right, down here. Right there.
button? Your button's right there, so,
There you go.
thank you.
That's okay. You can hit the next one. All right, so first things first, when we were talking about housing projections, this is something I want to own. I definitely don't think I've been explaining it well, okay? So, and this is where I'm going to tell, what was the street we were talking about earlier, Rob? Hemlock? Yeah, it was Hemlock Brook Road. Okay, so when the contractors are talking about 275, Carol, you kept making the point of who's telling us. Okay, it's not about somebody telling us, it's really looking at the data, the increases in population. It's looking at the pieces around sort of twofold. It's examining the, like for Lakes Region Planning Commission, examining the queries that they've done of the communities around the kinds of housing they're looking for. Looking at population growth, looking at just various pieces. So that's a projection, all right? All right, so it's not a situation where anybody's telling us we have to do this. However, the thing that I think the board needs to consider, in the past 2 planning board meetings, I've had at least 2 folks come in and say, hey, I want to split my lot. My lot's this big, and by zoning, there's enough room, and I want to make it into 2 or 3 or whatever it is, right? On Hemlock Brook, where we were talking, like the 100 acres that was left from, I can never pronounce this correctly, Wycombe Farm?
Wycombe.
Yeah, well, or whatever, so, yeah. But that 100 acres, when they were selling, we actually went, I was really curious, I wanted to go see it, I'm like, okay, what's the story of this thing? And they were selling it like, hey, we think you can get 5 lots and an estate lot, so something really big in the middle, and then 5 lots, 3 of them were on Hemlock Brook, right, with like these massive drop-offs. I know I wouldn't do it, but at the same time, they would look at taking 7 or 10 acres. You know, the part of the job of the planning board is to try to take a look and make zoning to keep the look and feel of the town, okay? So if somebody owns a piece of property and they want to subdivide it, they've got to go through the process and they have to meet whatever the local, whatever's going on. It's kind of like what's going on at Village Pizza, right? Like they've sold to one set of folks, the net lot next door is sold, like there's a discussion around does it become another apartment building, that kind of stuff. So again, it's not anybody telling us what's what, all right? It's really, those are looking at projections and everybody has to meet our current zoning. So like if we as a town said, you know what, we want to really stem the tide of development in town, we'd probably need to do something like minimum zoning's 25 or 50 acres, right? Like the town would still have to vote that in, but like that would be the extreme case of what we'd have to try to do. I think what we got to try to do is really kind of take a look at this, and you look at using that number as a guide to say, okay, and that's sort of why last time I said, well, don't make it 275, make it 50. It doesn't, like, to some degree, the number doesn't exactly matter. What matters is, from a planning perspective, how are we coming together to figure out what we want where in town? All right, so that's my bit on that. The next thing I want to hit on, and I'm just going to so I'm going to give you a housing breakdown by type. We're going to talk a little bit about population and salaries in town. And then I'll tell you why I'm linking it to the economic development, which then goes to like the whole short-term rental thing piece as well. You could hit the next, please. Okay.
Here are the important points on this slide. One, I asked land use to put together, looking at all of the properties in town. Like how many properties do we have? Okay, and we have a total of like 2,300 properties. Okay, there's two columns there because I asked them to try to look and see how many properties were getting their bills in town versus out of town. Because short of not having that inventory that we say we need for short-term rental, right? We talked about that last time. That was the only sort of data point that we had, and it feels directionally correct, right? Like I would tell you for a fact it's not 100% accurate because I believe we need to do an inventory. Like we need to go through that process. But when you look at having more than 50% of our properties, the bills are leaving Bristol.
Can I clarify, sir?
Yes,
It
ma'am.
doesn't look like, that's not everything. I just looked at it, sorry, John, I didn't see that earlier. That is actual properties that are built on. There's not vacant, there's not anything. We have
Yeah,
like-
the other ones.
We
Okay,
have like
yeah.
3,000
Well, I get it,
Okay.
but we were talking about housing, right? Like,
Specifically, right, yeah.
Because that goes to the whole short-term
Okay.
rental piece.
Yeah.
And what I was looking for was, okay, and really where I'm going with all this is, how much does it cost? And this is why I'm talking about economic development at the same time. How much does it cost to buy in town? And as you can see from the data points, in October was $435,000 to buy the average house. Now, yes, the lake brings that up, right? So totally acknowledging that, but at the end of the day, to buy a $400,000 house, you have to make $100,000 in salary. Okay? Average rent is $75,000. Okay? To support $2,000 to support that, you need to make $75,000. Right? So this is sort of where I'm going when I think about short-term rentals, one piece of this. We need to understand it. That again, I think if you look at our industries in town, which include the hospitality and retail, tourism is our top one, period, full stop, which is why I think we need to investigate and understand short-term rentals. But from a planning board perspective, our job in that case is to kind of look at the zoning. All right. If you could hit the next one. Okay, so then I tried to look at, and by the way, most of the data from the, between myself, land use, we also will use AI at times, so ChatGPT. Just a complete side note for you guys, I also believe that, because most corporations are doing this now, we need to do this in town, because I don't think we have one. We need to have an AI usage policy, just a paragraph that the lawyer should draft up, because it's a public database. Okay, and the public, you don't want somebody mistakenly putting HR data and stuff like that. So just as an aside, I would task the attorney with writing a one paragraph that needs to go in the employee manual that says, you will not put any private data, blah, 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 however they gotta word it, but just as an aside, because they made us go through it at work, right? Mm-hmm. So just, it's a great resource though. Like I actually, when I pulled this data with ChatGPT, at the end of it, I said, okay, tell me the websites you cited. So then that way if somebody said, hey, where'd you get the data from? There's 3 different state websites that we kind of pulled this data from, right? I asked it things like, what should we do from an economic development perspective? How do we compare with other communities around the lakes, right? It gave us some good comparisons to Alexandria and Meredith and Wolfboro, and just so it's, within 10 minutes, we had a lot of data points, okay? And the point that I'm making with all of this is, you take a look at that $435,000 house or that $2,000 a month rental unit. There's not a very big percentage of our community that could actually come into that today. Mm-hmm. That bothers me. Mm-hmm. So I know when we say we don't want to do certain development, right, because we want the look and feel, I think we got to be cognizant of the kind of community we're becoming. Because what's driving our price of our homes? What's driving the price of the homes in the area is the tourism. It's the short-term rentals. It's the short-term rental getting, buying that property. Again, the point that we were making last time. So all of these pieces start to interrelate. And that's really the piece I want you guys to take away from this. This isn't a planning board needs to go do this one task. There's a lot of puts and takes with all this, which then goes to the all committee stuff. So I'm not trying to suggest that this is a simple, like, oh, there's these 3 things, let's go do this and then we can, call it good. That's not what this is. We have to embark on a bit of a journey where we start to task our boards and committees to be specific, to make sure that they're using data. Use a tool like ChatGPT. Like, we need to agree, sort of to what you said to Alexandria earlier. What are the tasks that we're trying to accomplish together? And then measure those, which then comes back to all committees. All of these things start to relate together. All right. You want to hit the next one? Okay, so I definitely have a thing about Hub 66, and I really think that one of you guys with Christina should actually meet with them and talk about training and what they're trying to do in the community. I was super excited when they said they hired somebody in the community, but just as an aside, I think that that would be a good use of time, because they're an enterprise that's in the community trying to provide services in the community. And I think that we should just have that as a regular motion, like thinking about that, right?
Training for what?
Whatever they need for personnel. So like when I ping them about personnel challenges, you know, they've said that they haven't encountered a lot of folks that have the skill sets that they need. So then, okay, well, what is it you need? What can we do together as a community to help do that? Then secondarily, I also think that they have contact centers, they have other skill sets. You know, how do we get them to put those functions here in town? Which then goes to economic development. Okay, so one of the things that's gonna be in the land use section of the master plan, I think, because we're waiting for the draft to come in, is gonna talk about what we wanna see from a commercial perspective, right? Scott, we keep joking around where, you know, I keep telling you I wanna bring a Pepsi plant in, but you know, it's on the other side of town, right? But over there, it's not really zoned for that. You know, I don't know that that's what Bristol really wants to do. And it's really hard for the planning board to sort of make some of those decisions, right? So this all goes back to how do we look at our skill sets in town? What kind of employees are we trying to have in town?
We're gonna look back for a second.
Sure.
So Hub 66 is trying to hire somebody.
Yeah, they always have recs open. I want them hiring here.
Right, okay, so they're saying that they can't find someone to hire in Bristol. I have never once seen, and I'm active on social media, I read the paper, any conduit that they could use to say, we're hiring in Bristol for this position. So I don't know how they can say that they can't find anybody in this
Yeah, I mean,
area with those qualifications.
To be honest, the last conversation I had with them was what, maybe 3 months ago, Christina, probably, around that. I mean, like I said, they did tell me that they did ultimately hire one person in Bristol, but I'm looking at all of that, like last year we had that fiber cut, right? When the fibers were cut on Summer Street, when the limb came down, right? Yeah, and we were out for a number of days, right? Yeah. Well, we're out because you know, one, everybody's busy, but like, if you look at where the resources are coming from, this is my pet peeve. The resources are coming from like Vermont, upstate, Massachusetts, nobody from bloody New Hampshire. And not for nothing, and this isn't a degrading thing at all to the fiber optic community, but like fiber optics is just another infrastructure, like plumbing, like electrical.
Right, it's not even the electric company.
We don't treat it like that. We treat it a little bit like it's kid gloves because it's been associated with the computers, right? So, anyways, the point is,
to be fair,
I think we can do better.
Yeah, to be fair, that's yeah. I understand where the resources coming from outside, but what's the word I'm looking for? You're the computer guy. Give me the word. When it goes down, there's no. The loop hasn't been completed.
Oh yeah. Well, yes.
Redundancy.
The redundancy
We're
is not.
single-ended now, rather than.
Yeah.
Well, redundancy and impact of operations is a different conversation
Yeah.
than skill set and sort of where we're going
Sure.
as a community. Okay. So like, again, in my head, I come back to okay, if it costs this much to be able to buy a house in Bristol or to rent in Bristol, then how are we attracting, like what kind of talent, where are we trying to go as a community?
Right. So
Right.
What I want to see is Joe Smith on Spruce Street gets in his truck every morning at 6:30, goes, gets his coffee, and drives down and gets in his Hub 66 truck and goes to work.
Yep.
that's what I wanna see.
Yeah.
But, to.
By the way, this isn't Hub, I don't think Hub
No,
66
no,
is-
I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, so am I. I'm not, I'm not trying to imply that they're unwilling.
Yeah,
I just don't know that we've structured the conversations this way. This is what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
right? And it goes from a level of how are we charging economic development to try to figure out stuff?
Yeah.
Right? And then what are they taking for feedback? And then how does that feed into the other things? Because I think that's the vision for the all committee stuff, right? Like it's to try to bring folks together. It really behooves us to have a little bit more structure, I think, with you guys around how we intend to do this. That's really what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Do we have any kind of a regular meeting with them?
I meet quarterly, I meet with them
Okay.
January
so
6th.
let's get the ball rolling on that, I like that, anybody have an issue with that? Alright.
Anyways, so all right. so-
Anybody have an interest in being the one that represents the board?
On economic development?
No.
No.
For Hub
Even Hub
66.
66.
So I meet quarterly with them.
Probably one of you
We
three.
haven't been, we just restarting those quarterly meetings, but you're welcome.
That's fair, yeah.
January 6th is the next meeting for me with them.
What day of the week is that?
So, hang on.
We get on my PDA.
It's a little Christmas.
Paper data
No, see,
system.
the paper
Anyways,
does
all I'm
put
saying is I'm trying
January
to,
6th is a Monday.
I'm
at
trying
10
to link
a.m.
the planning activities,
I can do that if unless Don or Scott want to. Yeah.
right? So all I'm really trying to do is link the planning activities with those things because they all relate together,
Right.
right? Like, I feel like I feel like the planning board, we're trying to go in one direction. And, as much as you can tell, I get pretty passionate about all of these things, right? It's much more impactful if we all agree. And if somebody disagrees, I'm like, it's okay. Like, let's have that back and forth to figure it out. Now, if we come full circle back to the short-term rentals, which is, I think you can see now why, when you look at some of the data points, why I think it would be a really good idea to do, overall figure out how do we do an inventory. But then secondarily, as you guys were alluding to last time, it's really an opportunity for us to do the right licensure and set the community up for success from that, right? Because at the end of the day, if somebody buys a property and that's ultimately what they want to do with it, and we have a good sense of what's where, right? Because let's just say the number ends up being 50, because I've had, just in the past 2 weeks, we've had 2 different splits of lots, right? So let's just say over the next 10 years, it's 50. Well, what's the 50 added to? Is the 50 added to the 2,300? Or is the 50 added to just really the 1,100? That's the stuff that's in Bristol. And the only thing that's going to keep our property values stable, but allow for us to have the folks that want to live in Bristol full-time and support the community as a tourism and vacation destination, we've got to make it so that it's affordable for them to be able to participate here, or where we will ultimately impact our ability to provide a good experience for people to come here on a vacation. Anyway, there you go.
So I think ultimately as a board in the near future, the decision we need to come to is whether we want to encourage or discourage short-term rentals. And which direction we decide to go, how are we going to support that?
So let me challenge that for a second. I don't know that we need to try to figure out whether we want to encourage or discourage. This sort of goes to the point that you made to me before, Carol, right? We're in New Hampshire. A lot of New Hampshireites, me included, doesn't want anybody telling me what I gotta do with my property, okay? That doesn't mean that we don't have to have processes and steps to understand it, right? Because, what would be really sad for us, in my opinion, is to do all this work on zoning and housing and trying to figure out how we get some houses that weren't in the $400,000 range, more in the $250,000 range, right? Like maybe we can do some things with density in certain areas because of the sewage and water. Who knows what's going to happen to where Kathleen's Irish Pub was, right? But does if we do a bunch of work to encourage apartments or certain things in that area that then benefit from a stabilization of the property values, but if they all become short-term, or half of them become short-term rentals, does that actually help us? So I think we just, instead of thinking about it in encourage or discourage, I think we look at it as a data set and say, we need to make sure we understand it, so we know what direction the community is going in, which also goes back to why we do the surveys so often, or probably not often enough, right? And I know sometimes we don't get enough people to respond, but that's a different problem. We shouldn't dismiss it because we don't have a lot of people. We need to do a better job of making it relevant for them so that they feel encouraged to fill it up.
Okay,
So
let me
anyways.
rephrase my idea. We need to decide whether or not short-term rentals are good or bad for the community.
Yeah, I think I have the same argument. You know, to me, it's understanding.
Well, where we put it. It's
Well,
more, it's
I-
more
I-
understanding where we need them.
But where we put them has already been done, because that zoning piece is, that's done,
Yeah.
right? Like to me, right now, it's a matter of, do we have, for lack of a better description, a permit that says, okay, I wanna have a short-term rental. We make sure we define what a short-term rental is, so that way we don't get into the discussion we were having the last time around. You know what, I got my third cousin twice removed, who's coming up for a week, right? So we have to work through the definition of that, we gotta define what that permit is. You guys decide what the appropriate fee is that then covers some of the things. That then allows us to provide guidance on occupancy in pieces from a health and safety perspective. It allows us to do things like make sure that people aren't using an environmental toilet in a situation, and then ultimately having to bring that waste to the dump. Right? Like, so that way we make sure that the thing is properly taken care of. But, you know, if somebody wants to buy a property and they want to make it a short-term rental, and they look at the mathematics of it and they say that works for them, then that works for them. For the town of Bristol, I think for us, it's really coming back to the licensure, and when you look at the other communities, I mean, you know, they're looking at, from that chart, that it was like $300 to $500 a year or something like that. Like, it's not insignificant, but at the same time, it supported the town and what the town needed to provide the services that go with all this stuff.
I think I'm kind of more where you're at. The more short-term rentals we have, maybe the less permanent housing we have.
That's where my head goes with this, yeah.
I
So
completely agree.
I think we do have to make a decision based on what people think they might want in town.
And then there's a part of me that feels like, you have 10 acres of property, you want to subdivide it. I'm gonna build a house there, and I'm gonna have short-term rentals on my other property.
Yep.
Carol Brown, Bristol resident, decides he wants to make some extra money with his property. I don't really have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is you subdividing your property, selling it to an investment company from out of state,
Right.
and coming in, and have that investment company coming in and making money off of it.
But
Right, so it
other than
used to be if you
restrict
wanted
that.
to rent a room in your house, you
Right.
put an ad in the paper and you rented a room.
Sure.
So-
Yeah.
Which I understand your concern, but I think legally, I don't think there's a way for you to restrict that from happening.
No, I don't.
But, I mean, so this too also is in your folders, it's a legal opinion. We were having conversations about how to take care of short-term rentals at the last meeting. So we talked about so if you try to enact a zoning regulation now, it is not going to be enforceable on short-term rentals that exist. It would only be for new ones. But there is a way, if you do an operational business permit under the select board, that it would apply to all short-term rentals.
So-
a business license, and it will cover the things that John's mentioned earlier, like, there could be life safety inspections, occupancy limits, number of bedrooms, septic, sewer, water capacity, parking capacity, the things that people are concerned about, could be addressed in that, so. I've not gone further than this to look into how that would be enacted and what kind of permit it would be. I just wanted to make sure that I shared that out.
So we can't limit, I don't know, let's just say we said we'll allow 50 short-term rentals in town, and that's it, because we want to have more permanent housing.
You can't do that.
No.
Unless
I
it's-
can ask, but I don't believe legally you can do that.
The question is if we don't have an inventory today,
Well,
what- like, no, regardless of what we say we want it to be.
Right.
It's the same argument as the other one, which is, if you don't know where you're starting from, then you're gonna end up in this catch-22 all the time, going, well, I always did it this way.
I mean, you can limit where they are, and we do. Our zoning currently, I can bring that up, says that it's allowed in certain areas, or it's allowed by special exception in certain areas, or it's not allowed at all. Not allowed at all does not mean it's not allowed at all. They could apply for a variance, they'd have to prove there's a hardship, but they could apply for a variance for that. It'd be hard pressed to prove you have a hardship to make it a short-term rental. However, it's not that it may never happen.
Yeah, I guess I would say this, like, consider it this way. For the same reasons I'm saying, let's try to task the Economic Development Committee with what are the types of businesses, like, let's do a little bit of homework, figure out what we want, and then align that to our zoning. In the same way here, when you think about tourism as our top industry, because it is, as much as I would love to say that right now I would love to do a bunch of other things, because I got a bunch of other ideas, but like, it is our top industry, period. So because it's our top industry, let's do what we gotta do to understand it, and do it in a way that helps the rest of the community deal with what it means to have that in the community. And the way you do that, I think, is we compare ourselves to other communities like Meredith, Sunapee, like there's a whole chart that Joanne and the land use office put together that tells you how those other communities have dealt with it, like who did a license, how much it was. So step one is we engage in that and we treat it as an industry so that we provide a good experience for the ones where that happens in town. Then second step is we start to look at, okay, what are the other industries we have to have? And again, if we think about the housing costs and we think about how we need to support those, okay, then what types of industries do we need to try for? What's the state doing, right? Like all of these things start to come in, but we need to do first by treating this in tourism.
We don't want to support that as an industry. We want to support and encourage and attract other industries.
Okay?
Let's just say hypothetically, what does that look like?
I don't know, like I would,
I mean, you'd have to get the support of the planning board to change their current zoning where
But then-
they're allowed locations.
yeah,
You can't completely restrict something, but you can restrict it to certain areas in the zoning. So if you wanted to encourage the planning board to make modifications to where they're allowed, that could happen. But
I'm just throwing that out
No,
there.
it's not good.
Trying to navigate what's best for the town here. It's
Correct.
I look at Don, local business owner, owns bed and breakfast. Like I want Don's business to thrive, and I want to attract those people. But then I also want the people that live over on Timber Lane to be able to use the services in town and not be able to feel pushed out of those services because this place becomes overwhelmed every summer. Does that
correct.
make any sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I think there's two problems that I have in trying to figure out how we really clamp down. The first one is we've defined it already in zoning. We've defined which zones can have it. So it's conceivable that we go through a process and we say, you know what, we're gonna limit it, just using a district right now. We're gonna limit it only to the Lake District. That's it. Everybody wants the lake, that's the only place you can have a short-term rental, is the lake. The town then has to agree, vote it in. But it's the grandfathered in piece, because we don't have a good inventory. What's the arguments that we end up into? Because now if you've had an investor, large or small, maybe they got 3 of them in here in downtown that they consider to be short-term rentals. And they take the town to task. Are they grandfathered in? I mean, I don't know, this would be something we'd have to check, but I don't know where that would stop.
they would have to prove
Yeah,
it
but
there.
that's details after. I think you're right, we need to go to the citizens and see where do we wanna go with this.
Yeah,
5 of us can't make this decision.
And this is, I don't disagree with you, Carol, but this is complicated.
It is,
Extremely
it's too
complicated.
complicated to throw it at them 5 minutes before they walk into the booth.
Right, so it's almost like, you know, it's almost like we need to do that legwork and present it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe the solution is to allow as many short-term rentals as possible, but figure out how we can make the most money off of that as a town to provide better services for the town. Maybe that's the best direction to
But
go.
that
Well-
doesn't help with housing for staffing.
No, but maybe.
But is it anyway?
You're
Is it
talking
anyway?
about.
Right.
No, it wouldn't, so that's where honestly trying to maybe we truly, and this is where like all of these pieces start to come together around when we do all committees, right? Like in my head, like this is the conversation, right? Where we're all trying to go, what are we doing together to figure this out? Like on the planning board's front, maybe we really should look at limiting some more where they are. Okay, and then to your point, Carol, we deal with the whatever it means after the fact, right? Because you know what, the community has looked at the impact and said, okay, we want to continue to invest in the tourism. We know it's at the lake. Let's keep it at the lake. It's kind of like the same thing with the height restriction that we're working on right now at the lake. Like, should we have a different height restriction for buildings in the Lake District as compared to other parts of town? Anyways, none of these questions are really like, it's not like oh yes, go do that. Like that's not where we're at. But it does require us to communicate more.
And, you know, in talking about Dawn's case, we should strive to make this as fair as possible to businesses.
Well, it is a
It
business.
should-
That's the thing. So
Do they have all the exact same requirements for
No.
kitchens and for everything that a restaurant does?
no.
How unfair is it to the folks that have to do maybe more for a grease trap and more for, I don't know, whatever?
Well,
But on the
Where's the
flip side of
fairness
that,
there?
Carol, how much could increasing short-term rentals potentially benefit his business?
Okay,
Well,
No.
which business?
On the,
That's
on,
the
well,
trouble.
on the, I'm
Yeah.
talking more on the pub side, that
Yeah,
sort of
with,
thing.
with me, it hurts one and helps the other.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking to get an inventory of these things, the first step might be the permitting process, if that's the way you wanna go, under the select board, and that's how you're going to inventory them, but otherwise, I don't know how you inventory them.
Right. But yeah.
I'm thinking back to like the 70s, 80s, well, 50s, 60s probably as well. And really, short-term rentals was the majority of what we had around the lake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, for
so
sure.
we make that more of a revenue stream for the town as well. That could be a benefit.
Oh, you're saying like all the cottages around the lake? are all-
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Those are all
we
rental
lost, when the
colonies.
condo boom hit, we lost.
Oh, God, yeah, I
all those
remember
short-term
before we
rentals.
moved here, I remember going to Ethel Morgan's.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had to go to Ethel Morgan's to get
That's a
the,
really good
Yeah.
point, Les, right? Because you think about it, they all went into the condos, then they were owned. And now you've got the cycle of, okay, the owners are using Airbnb as a platform to put them back out
Yeah.
as a
Put it back
short-term
on
rental.
cottage rentals, yeah.
Anyway,
And I'm convinced over the years, such as my dad bought 16 cottages in 73, the Pine Grove on Lakeside Road, rented them out till 89. As they sold off, what you see, first off, they get less use, they get a lot less impact on the septic.
true.
But those people no longer go shopping. They have everything. They have their tubes, they have all the stuff that people come up for a week that they go out and buy.
yep,
They have all that in their condo, they never have to go out and buy that
Right.
stuff, so maybe short-term rentals helps the local businesses in some ways like that.
Yeah. Does.
so I
you're saying,
think,
because they have to go out and buy those things when they
Right.
get here, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
so I think the task for the planning board, as it relates to short-term rentals specifically, is to potentially take a look at the zoning districts that we allow short-term rentals in.
It's a.
That, and for the planning board, that's actually it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and this is what I mean about sort of the back and forth and the handoff with the different committees. That's,
And I think, so, I mean, I agree, we need to relay this to the Economic Development Committee. But as a caveat to that, I think there needs to be some communication between you and Buzz to best understand that. I think, is that,
He's not EDC.
No, he's not EDC.
I thought the same thing.
Buzz is Penny Path Subcommittee, and Lake Region Planning Commission and TAC. We really need to have a discussion about the EDC. It is really very, very few people now. It is, I'm meeting with one of the current members on Tuesday. I've also talked to Grafton County Regional Development Corporation, I think that's what they're called. I was in the annual meeting today. Bristol has a vote in their annual meeting, so I listened to it today, and then they've got some really interesting things for businesses, so I'm asking them to come out. But we really should have a work session with the EDC that exists, which is, I think, 3 or 4 people, if that.
It sounds like it needs to be rejuvenated.
Yes, yeah.
And redefined maybe as.
I think it needs,
what
I do think it needs to be rejuvenated and redefined. It's one of the things we talked about doing with committees is starting to come up with more guidelines. But then we kind of stalled that when we were working on some other stuff, so.
Well, the EDC wasn't originally a permanent committee, it did have.
It changed, it
Yeah,
used to be
and then
something else.
Then it morphed.
It was some, what were they called before? It was economic something, but then
But it had a specific,
it changed
goal.
into economic development committee, but it was something else before. Because I think Paul Frazier used to be involved in it when it was that first group,
right,
and then it shifted to the economic development committee.
yeah, so it's probably
Yeah.
time to maybe, whatever it's floundering at, just end that and start it off on the direction we should
Yeah.
go in.
Or,
With a new direction, goals, et cetera.
because that's one of the things that would, I don't know how to say
The
this.
former,
One thing is that you needed the whole board with the vision of what they want to see happening.
That is correct.
Our vision and the board here, we didn't define it well enough, and it went down, I don't want to use the word path, but it ended up going down other paths.
The rabbit hole.
So, I think that's an important committee to have, and I envisioned it being very different when we started, and I was on it as the rep for a while. So I think that we, as a select board, need to have that conversation of what do we want it to look
Right.
like.
Right.
So Les,
It's our subcommittee.
yeah, in one of my slides that we didn't talk about, one of the things I put was, get them all to use AI and make them at least write one statement. It goes back to the form that I was filling out when we were doing the technology stuff, like, what are you trying to do? And this is the hard part, right? No, the jobs that you guys have when you're picking people to be on the committees, you're trying to harness their passion, right? And that's a hard thing sometimes, because they're super passionate about doing a particular thing, and if they can't do it their way, sometimes they're not as interested, okay? So, and then you don't want to turn them off, because we need all the help we can get, as far as we need people that have passion in the community. That's why I started tonight with, before we get into short-term rentals, was to sort of paint the picture with the data. And use that and go, okay, for the thing that you want to do, show me in the data, like, how does it help us? And it was funny, I went on ChatGPT and I asked, from an economic development perspective, what should Bristol try to do? Like what are our industries and what should we try to, and it was pretty accurate, I thought, the way it picked up on tourism and the fact that we have one manufacturing facility, and it really kind of laid out a bunch of different things, and then it compared and contrasted us to Wolfboro, Center Harbor, right? Like, and okay, here's the median income in Center Harbor. It didn't take long, and it allowed a basis for the conversation, and that's all I'm saying. So as you guys are going through that, maybe figuring out how they use tools and base them in something that then gives them some framework, versus getting into a discussion the way you talked about, where you get a particular individual that's like, oh my God, I have to do this.
So didn't we, when I first came on, we were supposed to have like a $35,000 contract for someone to do that work, and then we ended up not hiring it, right? And that just kind of fell off and disappeared.
Other budget stuff came up.
Yeah,
you can't get somebody for a $35,000 contract.
well, it
right
wasn't a
now.
full-time person, I don't think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was a
Well,
part-time.
whatever it was, I mean, whatever it was.
It was like a part-time
It's a
economic
part-time
development.
TA type thing
Yeah.
to deal with some of that.
Okay, would that be it? Well, we could talk about that.
one of the other things I hope to do was invite another town's EDC that works well, and to hear how they do things as well, because sometimes I think that hearing those things from the other well-working EDCs can help. And I'm not saying our EDC isn't working well, it just, they don't have any membership anymore.
Well, that's the same thing with like Lakes Region Planning Commission, right? Like,
Yeah.
they have a lot of things in the Lakes region that they're trying to drive. And it's interesting sometimes listening to some of those other communities in
Yeah.
that forum on what they're trying to push.
Yeah.
Can we put out some more advertisement, looking in the Buzz and Facebook, looking for EDC specific
We could-
volunteers?
I think before you do that though, you need to come up with your guidelines of where you want to direct
Well, we
them.
do, but there's one guy that inquired at the polls to me about it, and I pointed him to Buzz, because I
Oh,
assumed,
yeah.
I thought it was Buzz, but it wasn't, and now I don't know who that person is. And he seemed pretty passionate about it, so
All right.
besides putting something.
Well, there you go.
saying,
So,
hey,
you know.
who's the guy that talked to me?
I did get a
Maybe
guy
he's
today.
watching.
It could be. Contact Christina, town administrator.
Okay,
So I have one more question. on
yeah,
that.
go ahead, Carol.
I don't know if anybody's heard the ad on the radio that condos in Bristol are selling for $149,000. I've heard this a number of times.
What?
Next to the Newfound River, so are they selling off the apartments
Condos
on
next.
Swift River Road?
Oh.
They would have to
I-
condominiumize those to do that.
Maybe it's the store across the river
Oh, those are
at
condos, yes.
the Green and Real Estate, former Green and Real Estate.
It's gotta be, because there's an ad saying you can come to Bristol and it's
I
under,
believe that
it's
it's
under
on-
Well, I haven't seen that one.
175,000.
It's like that strip,
Like
the
the
little,
storage and
the
stuff?
store, yeah,
No, well, I think it's the red
in
building.
the office.
I believe
The
there is a
former office.
condominiumized building there, so.
Oh, so it might be the red, John's old office.
You know the little red building right on what used to be the dam?
Yeah.
That is a business, by the way. It's allowed to be a business.
Is there a business in there?
No, I don't think she is anymore. She used to be a flower shop there.
Okay,
Anyway,
Okay, anyways.
we've got to wrap up,
And my
so.
There you
second
go.
point, real quick, why can't we investigate more options for housing that we don't allow now?
What
We
do you
don't
mean?
allow mobile homes, true?
We allow mobile homes in the rural district only.
Yeah.
Right, so why can't we bring to the people, can we allow mobile homes? Because people, I mean, how many people's kids are never gonna buy a house with these numbers in this
Oh,
town?
Absolutely.
That,
For the mobile
that's my
Look at the
concern,
rents.
by the way.
What's that?
That's my concern, that
Yeah.
it bothers me no end to think that you can go through the school system here, you enjoy this part of
Yep.
this part of the world, you wanna stay here, and you can't stay here. That absolutely
Yeah.
makes my head wanna pop off my
So
body.
could that be a task of the planning board or us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
I mean,
I
how
think
do
that,
we
like
back
what
out?
you're talking about, I think the definition of a mobile home might need to be redefined.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of a mobile home, I think of you can pretty much back up to it and drive down the road with it.
Well,
That's a
like I said, I asked Christina earlier, do we allow a tiny house if it's on wheels?
Right.
It depends.
It does, it depends.
Mhm.
I mean,
That goes back to definitions, right? Because like if we're gonna change zoning in that regard, then, by the way, you can correct me if I get this process wrong, because this is in my under 4 get 'em wrong at night, but,
Wait, he's on, how many has he had?
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Just one
Yeah.
more.
No, just me. So like, we would go through that, we would look at the process, we would look at the definition, we would go have the public hearings, put it before the community, do you want to allow it? You know, and we kind of go from there.
It seems like a logical first step, though, is to have a community, the reps come in and say, this is what we're doing, this is how we do it, so that we have a base guideline of what we want. Hear from somebody that's doing it differently than what we're
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway, there you go.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in, John. Obviously, we need to continue
Okay,
the discussion.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But so I'll commit to you guys that I'll make sure that I talk to land use about taking a look at short-term rental, districts. We'll add that to the list of things to kind of take a look at. you know, I feel like from now on the short-term rental piece, the ball's in your court. Like you guys are up trying to figure out where we want to go. I just ask that we, as we reconstitute or do whatever we're going to do to economic development, we start to link that. Because what we need to do to zoning is going to come directly from what they're trying to drive for the types of businesses in town. And I don't want to get it wrong, because when we go off and we try to go work the process and we educate the community where we're going, why we're trying to go, it's 18 months to 2 years.
And then somebody says, that's not what we wanted to do.
And you know,
And then the
listen,
board changes and
You want to avoid that.
We don't wanna do that
yeah,
anymore.
as best we can. I mean,
Right.
never gonna, listen, it's never gonna be perfect, and everybody's trying.
Right.
So, anyways, all right.
Thank you, John, nice work.
Thank you. Have a
Okay,
good night.
thanks, John.
Bye, John.
Chuck, come on up.
What Chuck's like, I gotta go back after this. Have a good night. Did you bring your PowerPoint, Chuck?
I did.
I was gonna say, do not forget to fill out your survey.
Oh, I have, here, I've got mine. Can you pass that down, please?
I won't look.
You can look at it. So Chuck's here for a couple things. If I can just get back to my. There's only one thing in your folders, most of it is a verbal discussion. So I guess we'll start, I was gonna say, take it away, Chuck, but I'm not running the meeting. So, well, the first thing was to, Chuck, I thought it would be good for Chuck to let you know the updates that they've done to the transfer station since he would be here tonight. Some of you may have seen it if you've been there, but they made a few changes that he had previously discussed, and I think they're starting, those are being finalized, so.
So there's a few things going on at the transfer station. One is the slots that you see in between our containers. So we moved our containers and separated them. What this is going to do is we'll start putting cans in the middle of that slot, take it out of our big dumpster, which is in the way of the highway department. When they go and push snow and stuff, they have to push it right by there. So they need more room. So we decided to kind of move it out just a little bit. They can still get by. We get rid of the dumpster, and we're going to cover these slots that we made. It should be coming in tomorrow. So hopefully next week we go ahead and have it covered just like we did with the 2 containers that we put bales of cardboard in. So we're going to do the exact same thing down on my end down there.
So,
go
just so you know too, that most of the money, the changes for the transfer station and highway department spaces has been from the insurance money from the damage to the burnt building. This storage areas are being expanded upon,
Yeah.
and that money is being utilized to do that, so.
So that will alleviate the dumpster for the highway. The second slot I have right now, I got the refrigerators in that slot, refrigerators and air conditioners, which they were on the outside also. We're trying to pull them in so we can keep them under cover so they can come and decommission them and not be all with snow and everything all over it. But in the future, we might take that slot and go with another recyclable, whether it's plastic or paper or something else, but we're ready for it when we get to that point. So, and we'll have it covered also. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is styrofoam. Styrofoam is not going away. Amazon's going to be here forever, I believe. So we have a lot of styrofoam that comes in and it's filling up our dumpsters, and we're going to take I got with Lake Region, Matt Rose, and he's over more or less all of our areas on making the recycling part, the hazardous waste day. So I got together with him over at Guilford. Her name is Megan. I can't pronounce her last name. Thuralt, I guess. She's the director of Public Works there. They had got a grant, pay full grant for this machine that takes the styrofoam, chews it up, spits it out down here, and it comes out heated and comes out to be a tube. And they put it on a pallet, and then they store the pallet. Once they get the pallet stored, 30 of them, there's a place in Canada that will take this product and reuse it. I don't know what they use it for yet. I haven't researched that. But and they'll pay us money to get that delivery. Now, it's not much, but two things. You're getting paid for the styrofoam that we take out, and we're taking out styrofoam, which is more room for MSWs. So it's a win-win situation. Plus, the grant, he'll write the grants up. He'll take care of that, and he thinks he can get it. He got theirs 100% paid, I think, just about. I think it was like $4,000 off. It's $108,000 that it was then when he did their grant. They've been looking for somebody on this side of the lakes. So, because there's Plymouth, Alexandria, they started. Alexandria quit because it's so far to go there. Plymouth still does, but they complain about how far it is. So they were looking for someone to come over on this side and get these people over here, to the community, to bring their styrofoam.
Right, and we would have revenue from those towns coming in.
Yeah. So
Right.
Chuck and I are going to a site visit in Guilford
Yes.
on Monday, December
Second.
2nd.
Yep.
We wanted to know if there was a board member that wanted to go with us. I'm gonna go, but, cause I kinda wanna learn a little bit more about the financing to make sure. There's partly, it's talked about, you'd obviously have to gross budget and reimbursements potentially, so you'd have to have that. Or, there are also options, I think they completely pay for it with the grant, but still, I think you still have to gross budget it, but it would be a warrant article if we decided to do something, so.
So we're looking, if any of y'all would like to go and check it out.
I'd like to go.
for it.
As contingent upon my work schedule,
So
but
it's scheduled
When is it?
for Monday, December
Monday.
2nd
At 10 a.m.
Yep.
at
We're
Guilford.
gonna meet
You know
here.
where it is, right in Meadowbrook?
I'd meet you.
Well, we
over
could
there.
meet you down there, but
I would-
anybody who wanted to ride down, we could ride down together.
And Matt's gonna be with us, and he's gonna talk more with Christina on how much and all that, and the grants and stuff. But the tour will be going in there and watching now. They won't be running it that day. Wednesday was when, but I couldn't get that scheduled up. Wednesdays is when they operate the machine and everything. But it's a simple machine. It's not. It's probably about like that. The grant that they wrote, she has the machine in a container, and that they get the container with the grant, and they, I guess, from my understanding, they bring all the styrofoam and put it in that container, but I don't know where she stores it at. I guess she has room to store. My idea is, I've talked to Victor, and we got 2 different places we can put it there, and it'd be out of the way. It would be nice to be put in the container, but I would need to figure out where I can store 30 pallets of styrofoam to get ready to be picked up and shipped.
Sounds like we need another container or 2.
We will.
Well, I'm gonna go find out what kind of traffic issue that is, how much, if it's a regional kind of a thing, how many people are coming into our facility in addition to what we got?
Well, we would have to have a different permit also at the transfer station because we're getting something from another town.
Could we?
But that's all that is adding it. It's nothing to it.
So it would be residents from other towns coming here to bring it in.
What
Yeah.
we're thinking is just like they doing now with them is they collect it and then they bring it over into,
Right.
so
Like Alexander does with cardboard.
that's right,
We do
exactly,
not want
just
to
like
increase traffic at the
No.
transfer station.
No,
No.
that's my.
Yeah.
But We
They
could
bring it
handle it on
Friday.
Saturdays, we're good on Saturday. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but they bring it on a Tuesday or Thursday on and off.
Correct, yeah.
I do have one comment on the containers.
Okay.
I like the concept and the idea, but I'm going off of Rob's vibes. Can we paint them all the same color? Just throwing it out there.
I can't give you a
Or
hard
all
time.
different colors.
We can get
I
the.
should.
Can we make a rainbow? No.
We can get the.
No, but no, on a serious note, like if we could, and that's something I think we could handle.
Okay.
Paint roll, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just
Quick spray.
either buy a rent a sprayer,
Get a Wagner.
rent a sprayer, and literally go, you know, make.
Which
clean them
ones
up.
are you
Not
talking
until
about?
spring.
All the storage containers, there's 6 of them down there now?
Oh, yeah.
And now we're throwing a white tarp on top of the top.
Not
Oh, what color's
not
the
until
top?
spring.
Yeah.
Pull all the vehicles in while you're doing that.
Yeah, start spraying them.
You laugh, I've
No, I'm
thought
not-
about
I'm not.
getting quotes.
I'm 100% with you on that, Rob, 100%.
So-
Those 2 red trucks just drive me.
So we didn't do Wednesday because I'm out of the office Monday, I have a medical procedure. But if the board really wanted to see the machine, I just wouldn't go.
I'm sure we can Google a video of it.
Probably not much.
You
to
can,
watch.
yeah, it's on YouTube.
So, I would, Scott wants to go, or if anybody, I mean, send it out if anyone else wants to. If I happen to be around that day, I'd kind of be curious to see that. So
It's
yeah.
pretty-
I'll send an invite.
Yeah.
And just see their facility, because that's all brand new facility over there.
Yeah, I just wanna see the logistics and all that.
You know, maybe we should invite Alexandra while we're going over there, because they're building their facility.
They were just talking about this stuff, right?
I don't know, maybe invite and talk to Jed and say,
Let's,
well, there's 3 more people that would go.
Okay.
All right, the last thing
I'll
is,
send an invite out to everybody and you guys
It's a
can
regional.
come or not. How's that?
no, I understand that, but we just want to control it too, so.
the last thing's on Hazardous Waste Day. So I got the numbers come back.
It is in your folder under number 7.
This year we had 164 vehicles. Last year was 194. So 30 off.
Sorry.
Supposedly, it was a very good day for us as far as traffic wise, no backups. I mean, it did run very smooth. The thing I would think of why is twofold here. One would be people are getting the stuff out of their basements and everything, and over the years is what been doing since 2017, I think. It's catching up now. It's doing pretty good. Second might be because it's Saturday morning in 1st of August, where they tested it this year. They tested it during the week. Okay, during the week. They had I forget which one it was, but they had a really good outcome on it. And it might have been later that evening where they have complained about ours. Why couldn't we do it later on in the evening? Because a lot of people still work. So my suggestion would be, one, get it away from that school, put it at the transfer station. Do it on Thursday. Do it, and 2, people are in the summertime. August is still summertime,
A lot of people aren't here.
right? They have a open date of August 28th. That brings just about everybody back around. You know, getting people back from vacations and stuff to come in. Be Thursday. We can handle it. We're closed on Thursday. We'll run them through. If I don't have enough volunteers, which I should have plenty of volunteers, but if I don't, I got people who can work it.
I still think Saturday. We've been in a DOT before.
Yeah, we did that once.
Yeah, that was, so my only concern with what you just said is are you gonna be able to get as many volunteers on the Thursday as a Saturday, but.
Most of mine, yeah, they were older,
Yeah.
retired. Most of them were. I don't know if there was anybody that worked. So, but I can cover it one way or the other
We could try it one year.
Yeah, what do we do to try it?
Yeah.
and see if we can get the same. We would have to promote it pretty good. Get the police sign out there like we did this past year, put it out there and like for a couple weeks, and they can see it coming up, you know. Hey, this is where we're gonna have it. We'll
But
put it in the
you can't do For a
buzz.
couple weeks in the summer, we gotta have it monitoring speed down on Lakeside.
Yeah. We can make another sign out.
I meant to talk to the chief
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, there's been big banners.
There was a road construction out back.
Yeah, oh, I know,
And guess where, I was down there working on my sister's deck, guess where
Yeah.
they were all going?
I'm sure.
Whipping down Lakeside Road.
Yeah. That was the longest guardrail project in state history,
Oh,
Oh
man.
my
for
God, it
a
was.
30-foot section.
Every morning I'm sitting at the red light.
No,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
I wasn't. I was taking the dump truck because I was hauling stone from Central up to
Oh.
Romney. And it's like, I'm not stopping on that hill with a
Yeah.
dump truck full of stone, I'm going down Lakeside.
So, sidebar, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I don't, anybody have any thoughts on that?
I'm willing to give it a try.
Worth trying.
Yeah.
And try it,
I
see.
mean, in my case, it'd be better, because it's like, we're never here for it. Seems like we're always on vacation. And that first week of August is a big vacation week, right?
Yeah.
First,
Yeah,
second
yeah.
week of August.
Yeah, so-
A lot of people
So-
are on, so that's a good idea.
Hours, are you thinking also doing it into the evening? or-
I don't know. What do y'all think? I just,
I think that's what they were looking for from Lakes Region Planning Commission, was more evening hours.
yeah, we'd have to talk about it and
Maybe
see.
do like a 2 to 6.
That's
or
what I'm
3 to
thinking,
7.
right there.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I mean,
It
if they would do
light.
a 3 to 7, that'd make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Stays light until 8.
But it all depends on Tredebi, who takes the stuff, you know,
Right.
so it depends on
That's
them.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
if they'd be willing to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, so, but we will find out.
Cool.
That's it, that's all I got.
Nope,
So
no
do-
more.
The only thing I'd say about that is the Thursday of Labor Day weekend. I mean, it's a Thursday.
Oh, is it?
That
The
year.
28th.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that means.
Labor
It's
Day's
after
that,
Old Home Day.
Labor Day is the 1st of September
Because
next
I
year.
checked,
Oh.
is it,
Oh, so
oh,
Old Town Day's early this year.
well, let me
It'll
look
be the
again because I
23rd,
might have
right?
said that wrong.
Hmm. Old Home Day's always been the last time.
Is it the last Saturday?
Yeah,
So I
the
might
last
have counted
Saturday's
it
the
wrong.
30th. Labor Day weekend.
Nope, can't answer, sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, actually, August 30th is the last Saturday. Would you have a Old Home Day that late?
Well, I had it down for that, but if that's,
I just
that's
think it
Labor Day
deserves-
Oh,
weekend.
sorry, did you say it?
Yeah, we just.
I'm gonna have to move that. Yeah, that's, the 23rd will have to be Old Home Day.
That's what I was thinking, because I was counting 4 for some reason, but,
That's fine.
so yeah, it would be the Thursday after Old Home Day.
I mean, it might not
potentially.
make a difference, so
Right.
it's still worth a try.
Yeah, it's not like.
Actually,
a
a lot of people take that long weekend too,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they'd be here.
give it a go.
yeah, you might even have people that, have second homes up here that want to get rid of some stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in and everything else. Chuck,
The
we'll-
correct way.
Yeah,
It's half the
well, so
inventory.
the last thing
Yeah.
we have one more thing. We just wanna make sure that that you know how we're handling it and that you're okay with how we're handling it. Do you wanna explain the concern about the holiday pay?
Oh, okay, so on,
I'll jump in for a minute. And Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, Christmas,
They're
there you go.
Wednesdays,
Yeah.
which is the transfer station day. The board just agreed that they thought it would be good not to open on Thursdays. So the one thing that's come up, and there were some concerns, was that certain staff they don't get 8-hour holidays. So they would be short for that Wednesday because we're not opening on Thursday. So, Chuck and I have talked about it, and we feel that they could make up some of their hours on the other 2 days if Chuck has work for them to do and extend those days. or they could use the earned time to offset it, but I wanted to make sure.
Wait, I gotta
So-
look.
Sorry.
I'm so confused.
We're closing the dump down and we're not paying.
Yeah, Christmas
No, we
is
pay
on
them for a
Wednesday.
holiday, but we don't pay them for a full day.
Christmas is on Wednesday and New Year's Day is on Wednesday. So we usually close that day
Yeah.
and then open the next day. Any holiday we close that lands on our date, we open the next
So you're
day.
saying we're not gonna open the 26th?
You guys had said no. We
When?
were gonna. I came to you
I didn't see that
specifically
in
to
the
ask. Do not.
When was this?
When we talked about the holiday schedule, what was it? Probably
Yeah,
4
yeah,
meetings ago.
Yeah.
We talked about the holiday schedule, we talked about your meeting schedule as well. We asked you if you wanted the transfer station to be open the day after Christmas, and
We
it
said
was no.
Does anyone remember this? Because I don't.
I think-
I mean,
I
I
think
see
we
us
remember.
saying that the day after.
I'm not
Christmas.
disputing it, but I'm not remembering it.
Yeah.
You think the day
I
after
think
Christmas?
you guys don't listen to me.
Yeah.
What?
I think we need to be open the day after Christmas.
Because we've already told them that we weren't going to be, but we can go back and tell them that's been changed. Let
Yeah,
me,
so all the yeah,
Yeah,
there's
all the
extra
Christmas
trash.
stuff,
I would think that's a busy dump day.
yeah.
I'm
How hard is it
I'm
gonna
not
be?
making this up.
How hard is it
No,
gonna be to
and it
let
might
them know?
be, because 2 days later is Saturday, so it's not, that may be why we thought
Not
that.
the end of the
And
world.
That'll make Saturday
I don't
crazy.
ever remember this conversation.
Well, maybe you weren't there.
That's a possibility.
Like I said, I don't
So,
remember. but I'm
it
not gonna
looks
say
like-
that we didn't have it.
We talked to
I
you about
absolutely
it in
remember.
August. Let me look.
Thought I was at both.
You have the
of
meeting
those.
minutes
Just
for
gonna
that?
turn it on.
I'll pull them up.
That's what you're looking
No,
for.
no, it's all right.
Is it a problem?
So
for
this
the
was,
staff?
remember all of these notes on the bottom of the holiday schedule? And it said December 20th, we wanted to hold a holiday luncheon. December 25th, transfer station would be closed. Does the board want to open on Thursday or just give the transfer station a holiday off? Or will the board approve closing early for Christmas Eve? There were a lot of questions on the holiday schedule.
Oh,
that we
so-
went
I
over.
remember
When you say it
talking
that
about
way-
Christmas Eve.
No,
When you
well,
say, do
there
we
was a
wanna give them
whole-
the holiday off? Sure, let's give them the holiday off.
But it
That
says
has a great
NB,
familiarity to it.
I'm not, let me reread it to you, or just, it
Yeah.
says, does the board want it to be opened on Thursday? Or give the transfer station a holiday off, and for this week it would be open Monday and Saturday
time?
only?
Exactly, did you ask us that question? Because if it was after 8 o'clock, we were probably just trying to get out of here.
I think it might have been before.
So we can
And
Is it a
reconsider.
cigarette.
Bring this up for reconsideration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
there you
is
go.
it a problem to get if they now are told they have to work Thursday, is that a problem?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So.
I don't think it's
then-
too far, it's far ahead.
Oh, so you said the same thing on New Year's, so you're gonna,
Thursday the 26th
Yeah.
and Thursday the 2nd.
Shouldn't be as much
I mean,
trash
New
after.
Year's ones.
Well, but there could be, because families celebrate on the weekend versus, they could.
Yeah, you're still gonna be trash.
So we want to be open both of those days?
Although,
Both
Well,
what
think
days?
about, there
Thursday
would be
the second?
school the second, if there's probably school the
I
second.
would imagine so, yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense.
School's open already then?
Go- they might go
Well,
back
what
after
day is-
What do you think,
No,
Chuck? Are
they
you guys
won't.
gonna
It's
be
day after New Year's.
upset? Are they?
I can handle it. You just-
Well,
I
so,
appreciate
you,
the,
you just,
yeah.
said
we'll be fine working Thursday after on both of them.
They won't lose pay then.
yeah, they
No.
won't.
right, but, and just to be, I hope no one takes this the wrong way, but they have a part-time job that sometimes they aren't gonna work on a certain day. Am I being too
So
Am I
here's your
being too-
minutes.
hard?
I'm just saying,
Does that make sense?
Your minutes are right there.
I'm just trying to think of a way we can kind of throw them a bone too a little bit for working the day after Christmas.
Well, they get partial holiday pay, right?
They, it
Yeah.
depends, they're between 4 and 5 hours. It's
Yeah.
not, they don't get the same in each person.
Yeah.
Right, so they
But
still,
yes.
they get the bonus.
They get, so
Yeah.
they're still
Yeah.
getting the holiday pay
Yeah.
regardless.
and then they-
Are you in that day?
I may not be.
Oh,
But
no,
but-
that's
But
fine,
the
but
offices, yes.
The offices, I'm just thinking maybe we at least grab some pizzas for lunch that
Yeah.
day or
Well, that'd be
something.
nice, yeah.
Yeah,
So I did find.
I just, because I feel bad changing it, you know.
It was
but-
September 5th.
September 5th?
So we talked about the 2025 proposed holiday
Changing it to
schedule.
their advantage, so.
You shouldn't have challenged her.
Yeah.
And you approved these minutes, so.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. I'm sure it was.
All right, so but
We
we're
should've- we
gonna
should've
change
sealed the
both of
place.
them back because.
All right, so we're not
We-
here by 8
Anyway,
o'clock tonight. Let's
I think-
put it.
We've advertised everything already, but we can
We
fix
don't have a
all of
motion,
that and
right.
change them back. If you have any
Well,
problems.
if we talk about
somebody
this in a
says
couple of weeks, can we change it again?
No, I'm not bringing it up again.
All right. Anything else with Chuck?
No.
Thank you, Chuck.
Oh, thank y'all.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Have a good night, Chuck.
Yeah.
I think Dan had my phone.
Dan?
Yeah, January 31st in big letters, it says
You called?
retire, question mark.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
I hate
You trying to push you out?
him. Or it might have been Phil, somebody had my phone. I didn't write question mark for that.
Oh, God.
And it's been your calendar?
Oh my God.
Okay,
Oh, wait,
so.
that's funny.
All right, what's, public hearing,
Yeah, I got you.
okay.
All right, hear ye, I hereby open the second public hearing
At 7:23 PM.
at 7:23 PM for the property located at 85 Lake Street. To any discussion, I don't see anyone here from the public unless Kate wants to discuss it.
I think we read everything into the record the last meeting, so I don't think we have to
Yeah.
read anything
Yeah.
else into it. I don't know if anybody's approached you specifically to talk to you about it since the last meeting, but.
I have nothing.
So, just for the record, this is all pursuant to Chapter 41, Section 41, semicolon 14-A.
A little more enthusiasm.
I think he's
I'm sorry.
baiting.
And we're just jumping through the state's hoops is what we're doing, so, anyone have anything? On 85 Lake Street, anyone want to talk about it? Okay, it's been a great building. I hereby close,
You vote at the next meeting on December 5th.
yes, hereby close the public hearing on 85
7:24?
at 7:24, hearing nothing.
I like that type of year.
Yes, all right.
And for the record, no one was in attendance.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Did you want to run the meeting now?
Oh, wow. He's not allowed to go on vacation again.
He's not allowed to.
No, give him his nicotine
It's
back.
I don't want to
Oh.
get sick anymore.
Oh my gosh, that is what it is.
Yeah.
He's not
He's gonna
allowed.
take
Why
this.
your brain is off a little
The
too.
nicotine?
It's
Yeah.
nicotine fog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing wrong with it.
I should be more.
You didn't see her face.
I didn't see your face, but I was looking at his, and he was like,
It's not a good feeling. Don't go by any stores.
And well, the funny thing is I haven't, I'm not like, I chew the Zyn pouches, that's it, and the low concentration ones. And I didn't even think about it for like 4 days, and then the past 2 days I just wanted to chew my face off, so. Preliminary review of 2025 draft warrant articles. Christina, I'll defer to you on that for.
I started writing one up, it's under number 9A in your folders. These are, and I've just thrown placeholders in. I wanted, there's other supporting documents attached under B, C, D, and E. But I figured we would just skim over these really quick, see if there's anything you think I'm missing. I have to fix wording on some of these warrant articles, but this is just the start. First, do you want me to just?
Yeah, I'll run through them. So, obviously, we don't have to worry about the general fund right now. Contingency fund, that's the same as last year. Anybody have any issues with that? Patriotic is the same, which would be,
No,
actually, no, patriotic
We
is
bumped
not.
it up.
Patriotic is increased $5,000.
I've got to relook at the wages, accrued wage, the next one, sorry, capital reserve funds, but I think those are all set by CIP. The only one I didn't fix yet is the town building maintenance fund. CIP dropped that way down, but we've been having to spend it a little bit more on things. So I want to
Want to
relook
add to
at
it?
that. Yeah.
Yep.
That number 50 though is wrong, just so you know. It's just,
SCBA Mass and Bottle, oh, sorry, I skipped right over, capital reserve.
oh, I just did.
Okay.
You missed it.
Well, you,
That's
No,
what she was talking about.
so yeah,
Well,
go ahead,
yeah, capital reserves,
yeah.
Yeah.
the police vehicle may have to come out as its own warrant if we're gonna take money out of the police detail fund. If we're gonna take part of that out of, we'll have to see how much is in the detail fund now.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Sorry.
That'll have to be its own standalone article because
Detail fund,
the
question mark.
money will be coming out of
Okay.
different places.
I'll look in that, yep. Under, well, just to point out, so if you wanted to look at any, these didn't get sent to you because we were gathering them today, but under 9C, this is the chief, fire department chief, gave you spelling out of his articles, which are the SCBA bottles and masks. Let me just see what the next one is. The increase to the ambulance reserve is under 9B, and he's actually, I think he's changed it.
So ambulance reserve, it's a, that's different from fire equipment reserve.
Correct.
Yeah,
The-
correct.
The ambulance capital reserve, currently we put the first $60,000 in ambulance revenue, which is Comstar payments. We put the first $60,000 of revenue that comes in into the capital reserve. It's an RSA, not RSA, a warrant article that was already approved.
Yeah.
When we talked and when I started to create this draft, he was gonna recommend to increase it to the first 100,000 to come out. But it looks like he's got two different options. Obviously, these are gonna be bigger discussions, when Ben's here. He's got two different options in the memo under 9B. So we'll schedule him to come in and talk to you, but we just wanted you to see this first.
So, question.
Yep.
Back to the SCBA bottles. Are those in addition to the ones we
No.
took in trade?
Oh,
Or not, we're
no,
replacing
they're
them?
not, no.
No, well, no, the ones we took in trade are still in use, is my question, I guess.
Yes,
They
they'll-
sold older models,
Those have been worked into the
rotation.
rotation.
Yeah,
I can't, how
I
many?
can tell you his memo said the majority of these bottles are the bottles that were purchased as part of an AFG grant in 2010.
Right.
okay.
And are now at their maximum service time of 15 years.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
The question, I still have to check into these things, there's a possibility these may have to be two separate warrant articles, and we haven't gotten to that step yet. He said that, it would be 60,000 for the bottles and 5,000 for the face pieces, if we have to do two separate ones.
Yeah.
The rest are part of equipment received in the trade from the Kaiser forestry truck. We knew at the time that we would only get a few years out of those bottles, and the biggest value was the air packs themselves. The trade meant we were asking for 20 to 30 SCBA this year at a cost of $10,000 to $12,000 each.
Yeah, long story short, the bottles themselves, you can't fill them after a certain period of time. You're not supposed to. In which you get 15, those are carbon fiber bottles, that you get 15 years out of.
We have 20 to 30?
Yeah. What's that?
We have 20 to 30 SCBA's? Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's,
Certain amount on each truck, right?
yeah, I mean, so the four larger trucks have 6 apiece on them.
Okay.
And then there's 2 in each ambulance, there's 1 in the utility, there's 3 others floating.
Yeah.
And then there's the rescue, and then there's a couple spares.
Okay.
What you need, the spares, one go down and throw one out, or throw one in the rotation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I first started, we had 13.
I was gonna say, when I first started, there was 2 on the wall, and like 1 in each truck, I think.
Yep. And then there was, and then we also didn't have, we had like no spare bottles. The idea now is to have there's at least 2 spare bottles for each one.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause we don't rely on filling bottles on
Mhm.
site, you know.
Yeah. For the CIP purposes, those are planned to come out of the fire equipment capital reserve, rather than just from appropriation. So,
I can, it doesn't say that in the memo,
It does-
but let me
yeah,
ask.
I didn't see in his memo, and it's obviously not in the warrant article.
I think he may have not because of the cost, the fire equipment capital reserve, if we keep touching that, we're not gonna have any money to replace.
Yeah, the amortization though that I have includes that in.
Alright, I'll ask.
I can recheck.
Yeah.
I can check it again, but that's,
Um,
we're spending a lot of money, otherwise, if we're gonna throw that much into taxes above everything else, I mean,
Yeah.
every little bit you can take out of appropriations is
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
gonna be a help.
that'll lead into the discussion I wanna have afterwards about something else that may
Okay,
make what you're saying make a lot more sense,
okay.
you know?
I usually do.
I just relooked at Ben's memo on the ambulance spending.
I don't need nicotine to make
Sorry.
sense.
He's recommending, no changes in 2025, so I'm gonna remove that because he's got 2 different options depending on which one the board is interested in. He's saying no changes in 2025, but increase the deposit, so one option was increase it to $90,000 for 6 to 7 years with 2026. And then in 2032, you would have to increase it to 130,000. Or you could increase it to 100,000 in 26 for 6 to 7 years, and then in 2032, 140,000.
Which are you talking about?
The ambulance.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna remove it because he's saying no changes in 25, both of his options say that, so.
And then we've got the match grant increase.
That's the one I'm removing.
You're moving it all together.
I'm removing that one altogether,
Okay.
yep.
Then he's gonna be coming forward, we already talked to him last week about the increased staffing warrant article, still gonna wait on a number for that.
He's got more on here than so the increased staffing is also on that memo that is under number 9C. But he's got another one in here that's $125,000. I might have combined that one by accident. $125,000 to obtain and place an emergency generator and corresponding components at the public safety building. It would be from a grant. So I think I combined that other one by mistake. The EMPG match grant, that's one warrant article. And the other one was the capital reserves for the ambulance. So we'll keep one of those items in the warrant.
So he's looking to place a generator?
Yeah, the generator that we have is from the old building. We didn't buy a new generator for
Right.
the new building. So, but he's doing it from a grant. The appropriation is contingent upon receipt of the grant. If not received, the warrant article will be null and void.
Okay.
So it's bigger, newer?
He said that it would run everything. I think he told us. about
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, he says he said the public safety building is currently using the old generator from the town office. It is probably supplying power to 80% of the building, only a single outlet in the kitchen to protect the refrigerators, and only 2 of the 4 furnaces for the admin side of the building. The bay heat is fully operational on backup power. He said this would be for a larger generator that would power the entire building during an outage. And they're working on getting quotes for the
I
grant.
can't remember, there's something to do with it being like 2-phase, 3-phase or
Yeah,
something.
That's fine.
Alright, what's this CRF for energy related
So,
project?
there's been a request from your energy committee, it is under number 9D. They would like a warrant article to create a capital reserve fund for the, so if you. It
How much
says,
money do they want?
warrant article to create a capital reserve fund for energy related projects.
For the purchase,
It doesn't say,
to see if the town will vote to establish.
that's Lee's, it's an example. So Lee, he
Which
gave
one
him.
is? Wait,
This
Oh,
is
energy.
9D warrant article.
got it.
Yeah. He said.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
No, that's all right. He said there are a couple reasons for this. Often the grant opportunities require a matching investment by the town in the range of 20%. Another reason is that if we are selected for the solar array grant at the safety building, we will have some related costs for items like connection charges and annual maintenance. The way other towns have handled this is to create a
Generator test.
capital reserve fund from which to,
Is the generator running? Can I hear it?
it didn't kick on. You would hear it, I think
Louder
you
than
would.
that.
You'll lose live feed if it. The way other towns have handled this is to create a capital reserve fund from which to draw for these costs. And then he gave you examples. Lee, Jefferson, Randolph, and Carroll have done that. This is not set in stone. I put it as a placeholder for you to have a discussion. I can invite them to a meeting if that's what you want as well.
Wouldn't you normally decide what you're going to do before you set money aside to do that?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
But I think he's setting it up by, we did apply for that
We
grant.
did apply for the grant.
So
and
he's
then
gonna
if
have
they
to put a
apply-
dollar figure in, I'm sure they,
And if they apply for other grants with the board's permission in the future, then the 20% would be in there, is what he's using.
At the end of this, the writer says they prefer the Lee example, which says a solar energy capital reserve fund for the purchase of solar energy systems and to raise and appropriate the sum, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess
one
we
thing,
still have to decide. It's like saying we want to have an ambulance fund, but we don't know if we really want an ambulance or not.
Well, yeah, with that, when you set up capital reserves, there's two things you have to do. Agents to expend is, select board is the
Yeah.
one to do. But the other, you have to be specific on what it can be used for.
Right.
So that's the problem.
Well, this is
Solar
for the
energy
purchase of
systems.
solar energy
What if we wanted to
systems.
put
Do
a
you wanna
wind-
do- Right.
Wind farm up, then we'd need another capital.
Well, if you,
Right.
I was gonna say, if you use the wording he's wanting to use, the purchase of solar energy systems, you are not going to be able to pay for these other fees he's talking about. This is just for buying energy systems.
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's not gonna pay for the maintenance on one if we install it.
right.
Well, but then we do have to do, if we decide to go down there, we do have to take care of it, right?
Right,
If we get the grant, it's like the
Yeah.
old story, you get a grant, there's always more to it.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's ongoing
The
maintenance.
year after the
costs.
grant's over, or whatever. Okay,
so
we need to talk about this more.
Yeah,
I can,
definitely.
so obviously department heads would be one work session with you. And then if you decide to have an additional work session with other, we can
Yeah.
schedule that.
All right, cemetery funds?
So cemetery funds is a requirement. The cemetery trustees have sold 2 plots in Sanborn Cemetery. The statute says that we would take it in and to the general fund, which we did as a revenue this year. However, we have to put a warrant article on the warrant asking the legislative body if they would like to take that money out of the general fund and do something with it. I think the statute says, it doesn't, I don't have the specific statute in front of me, but you can establish a general care maintenance fund for all 6 cemeteries.
Makes a lot of sense.
Instead, which makes much more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So here's something Dawn's not going to like. I'm gonna talk to the cemetery trustees because they recently sold these 2 lots, but the way the bylaws are written, they have perpetual care in them. Perpetual care requires you open one account for perpetual care for that lot and another account for the other one for that lot.
Wow.
So we just had to open 2 more accounts, sorry,
oh
Dawn.
my gosh.
So
I wanna get rid of all the other ones, cause it's crazy.
well, so because of the way that the bylaws, I'm gonna talk to them about changing it to general maintenance. Then we won't have to do that in the future. We could put it into a general maintenance account then.
Yeah.
Which hopefully these 2 would create that general maintenance account and then we can use it if we ever sold another lot
That
again.
makes more sense.
So that's why that's there.
Compactor replacement.
Oh, take that one out. We talked about it, we think we can get another year out of it.
TS improvement, what's TS?
Okay.
This is
This is mine.
Dawn. Dawn's is, there's two things I put in the folder. Dawn's wording is number 9E, and then I added revenue in there, Dawn, as well, under 9E.
Yeah, like I said, wording mine, I did it real quick because.
Well, and the wording may not be accurate. Again, I haven't vetted the wording just yet. I just wanted to get them before you.
There's 2 9Es, which
All I have is
one says revenue, the other says.
proposed
what?
budget with notes under 9.
Go to 9E,
Which
the
one?
second one. Is
That
it?
ain't transfer station recycling funds warrant article.
Yep, that's the warrant article Don's proposing, which would be to transfer 50% of the revenues, we gotta fix the wording. Transfer 50% of the revenues of recyclables, from the transfer station to
Yeah.
the transfer station revolving fund.
Mhm.
There is an existing revolving fund. I forgot to look at that email.
Yeah, there is,
There is one under Kathleen, under the treasurer.
yeah,
Let me just check, I emailed her. Let me see,
yeah, that was set up when the,
when we
wheel
closed the,
grader.
yeah.
I remember that.
So,
Is that, so it's still open?
It
yeah,
is still open,
Yeah,
it's
so
got about
there's-
$70 in it, I think. or
yeah,
something.
we used the bulk of it for doing
The upgrades, yep.
well, we used a bunch of it for the upgrades, and there was what was left over, we did the baler. That was part of the whole baler thing. So the thought here is we've paid back
Mm-hmm.
for the baler, we did general fund, capital, or highway equipment for the skid steer, and then the rest of the transfer station. Thought here is, we more than paid back the taxation already, and now start putting it back into some kind of capital reserve, either start a new one and end the revolving one, because I don't know if we need the revolving one again anymore.
She did say it already exists as a revolving fund, I don't see why it couldn't be used for a portion of the recycling. And so, instead
Yeah,
of
we could put-
creating a new one. we
Yeah,
could
rather than
start-
creating a new capital reserve and getting rid of this one, just use this one.
And it
as
would be
capital
under the
reserve.
treasurer's
Yeah,
authority.
as opposed to under the
Right,
trustees. But to put, originally I was thinking put all the money that we get in, all the revenues back. But I put 50/50 just because, it's nice to offset taxes as well. But we should be saving money because the compactor is gonna be,
I agree.
need replaced. We might wanna buy a styrofoam condenser or whatever the thing's called, That's what this could be used for if we start building money up. Because we have this revenue stream, let's take advantage of it. If we got nothing,
Makes sense.
and we're looking at a roll-off truck.
Yeah, and we're looking at growing it, so.
Yeah, yeah, and the more things that we start getting revenue from, the faster this builds up and the more we can do. That's all.
Good.
I silly on it?
Yeah, and it also gives,
Yeah.
The 50/50, we could do 100. I just, like I said, at the last minute, I just threw it in as that.
I was gonna say you could even go more, or I wouldn't even have an issue with it going up to 100. You.
I say,
splash water on your face,
Yeah.
wake you up here?
let it run its course and see where it goes, if we need my thought. Oh, you got it back?
You helped him.
You're not helping.
You're within backhand range there too, I'd be careful.
Just go ahead, because I'm completely lost in
we're
it
gonna
now.
have to move you.
It's like if my wife.
No,
said
I
this.
think it's good that we're doing it. I
Yeah.
thought I had mentioned before, but it's good. And then start with 50/50, it's a
Yeah.
starting point. A year from now, if we need to adjust it, we adjust it.
Yeah, we change it to 100 or whatever.
If we feel.
I figured it'd be easier to sell at town meeting as a 50/50.
So what this also does is it's also an incentive as far as revenues concerned to the employees working in that department. This is what I was trying to get at. When they know that what they're bringing in goes back and benefits the department, it gives them more incentive to,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they'll have good we're making the investment to keep their equipment up to date.
Right.
Yeah.
Where are
So-
those funds going now?
They're
Just
gonna-
general fund.
So with that, do we need, so a little caveat to our prior conversation, do we need to word that so that if we receive funds from other municipalities for the program, those funds go directly into this?
No. It's
No.
still revenue.
No, because that should,
No, we
No,
don't.
it's not recycling revenue though.
we don't want to
That's the only
restrict that revenue, do we?
thing. You. can
That's
you-
what I'm saying, how do we,
I know what he's saying.
you know what I'm saying, but how do we wanna do
It's-
that? How do we
You
wanna
can't
approach
restrict it
it?
to recycling
It's
revenue.
gonna just be
though.
revenue though, I think you're right.
Can I
Regardless.
just add a comment? I'm concerned that you're gonna take all of the revenue, because if you look at what we've spent, what we've got, we're losing revenue. We know we're losing it already on hauling. And we're trying to find ways to pick it up, but my concern is if you take 100%, so right now, you've got budgeted, we had 2.1 million budgeted in revenue, not counting water and sewer, and we've only taken in 1.9, we're usually above. So, granted, I know we still have November, December, but I'm just concerned about taking all of the revenue
We're
that's.
not.
Total revenue.
We're not.
No, it's 50%.
No, I meant.
She's talking about the town's
When you
total
start
revenue.
adding, if
Yeah.
you start adding in all of those other things,
Yeah,
that's my only concern.
so do we
Leave
need
it
to
as
lower
is.
it?
Like,
Yeah, it'll be, I think what you're trying to say is like,
Yes.
well, so let's say next we say, let's take all the ambulance revenue, and put it in the ambulance capital reserve, and it takes away of what revenue is offsetting
Right.
expenses.
We don't want to take it from the
Right,
general
you don't wanna
fund and
take
have
too
them
much.
all there.
And I think it's a really good idea, but I think you start with my opinion only, is start with recycling at 50% and see
Yeah.
where it
Yeah.
goes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
see
absolutely.
what happens with our revenue, because
Mhm.
Okay.
we got some concerns, obviously, that the hauling won't be resolved, and we won't get that revenue back, that's $80,000.
What's the recycling revenue?
The recycling revenue, depending on what you're
It's not that
considering
much, is it?
recycling, well,
That's how we control
are
it.
you just, which part are you considering recycling? Because you've got
Well,
propane tank, freon fees, electronics, income from metals, income from aluminum, tires, construction, and, that's not
that's
recycling.
good.
And then there's NRA, which is recycling.
No, that's, I wasn't considering that we take money in for, I guess the money that we take in for charging for tires and all that other stuff.
We do pay to dispose of it too.
Well,
but-
that's actually, that's in the income, or the revenue column. Yeah, I was thinking more specifically cardboard, aluminum, and the metal container.
So the,
Metals as
Some of the
recyclables.
recycling.
Right, it's
Yeah.
all buildings.
Cans or anything?
Yeah, those are recyclables. Where we take in, where we charge, we charge for propane tanks, we charge for tires. I wasn't thinking that money at all. No,
That's supposed to be a wash.
because that money offsets the cost of getting rid of it.
I don't see
So-
the cardboard.
I think it's a good idea because, but we're starting to hear rumblings that people want to go with more recycling.
Mhm.
Right,
And we're gonna need to buy infrastructure to do that to some degree. Whether we
Oh, just for drop.
have a better building or whether we have a styrofoam chewer and recycler or.
yeah, so I guess
I think,
anything we sell, not revenues, we don't wanna use revenues, probably do the sale.
so your income from metals and aluminum, that's about, right now, we budgeted 12.5, we're only at 11.
Okay,
And then recycling from adjusted per drop in cardboard prices, it's 5,000.
Wow.
So if you add the two together, just $16,000, it's less than 10 cents effect. But if we're losing 80,000 in hauling revenue too, that little bit can,
So
that's,
is this, let's say the market goes backwards and we don't wanna do it from the general fund
no,
or
you do,
unexpended fund, right? You know what I'm saying? If, let's say we lose all revenues down the road,
you have
then
to.
none of these monies are gonna go in, we're not gonna build up this fund.
Right. Right.
should we,
Well, then
no money goes in?
Right.
no money goes
I
in.
mean,
Okay.
even if it was $100.
You don't think they were gonna take money from it?
If that goes away, then we're exactly the way we are right now, no money's
Right,
going in.
right.
Yeah, we're not saving anything.
So then we'll have, someone down the road will have to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. No, I'm just,
so,
making sure.
so this should probably say something more like from the sale of recyclable materials, rather
So-
than revenue.
One last thing while we're on this, the money that we received from the sale of the fire station,
Mhm.
what are we gonna do with it?
I know what I think we should do.
What?
I think we put it on, depending on how much we get, we put it on the unreserved balance and and then divide it up over the next couple of years to offset tax. Use it for offsetting taxes, but not all at once, because if we do it all at once, we're gonna have such a cash flow problem, you won't be able to believe it.
Yeah.
So here's, let me throw my idea, do you have an idea?
No.
Alright, I'm gonna throw my idea out there. My idea was to, put in a warrant article for, just basically saying that whatever the proceeds from the sale of the fire station are, to be divided up, equally amongst capital reserve, or not equally, but divided up, like if you take these percentages and put into capital reserve, and we get way ahead of the game with capital reserve.
So we build that back up.
It's more of a
Where we would cut.
long-term solution.
Yeah.
In addition to this, or in
And-
place of the capital reserve, so we would,
In
in
addition,
addition, okay.
yeah.
I like that idea.
Depending on how much it is, we wouldn't have to put anything into the
No,
capital reserve.
No, I'm
for
talking
a couple
about in
years. That's-
addition to
Okay,
what's already there.
Right, not deplete them for this year, not take that out.
We're gonna, it's an inflation booster.
Because if you took it out, it's not gonna help us next year.
And I'm just, I'm looking just down the road, like particularly with like,
Oh, yeah.
that
The cost.
fire engine is gonna be, I mean, well, that's the other thing, is do we do it more specific to, the other option, we do more specific towards the fire department, since that's what's, where
that's what
they're.
you're selling, yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
and I don't want that to
Yeah.
seem like I'm saying that because coming from my history and background there,
Yeah. no.
but I'm looking at that huge nut coming
Oh, yeah.
years down the road.
It's-
That's where the
And-
biggest expense is gonna
And
be.
do we just take it right now and put it in fire equipment and hold it there, knowing that that's, and then we're not gonna end up bonding a truck?
Right, oh, yeah, definitely. That's
not
the-
paying any
and that's the
interest on
purpose, that's the purpose
Yeah.
of,
I'm devil's advocate for a second. So the PD couldn't do that because we tore their building down.
Okay,
Fair enough, that's a good point.
I
That's a
mean,
good
I'm
point.
just being, I think your idea is good.
Right.
But,
but PD's ahead of the game on their expenses, fire is not.
But you do get some pushback from people on that.
Yeah.
That
oh,
doesn't mean you
because
can't
of
do
the
it,
cost
but
of
you
the
will.
vehicles, yes.
yeah,
There's a
you'll
big
get people
restricted-
pushing back
yeah.
on
Yeah.
wanting to do what I first suggested, because I hadn't thought about that, that's, you
Yeah.
piqued my interest though.
Yeah,
Forgive my ignorance, you can actually designate something to go to the unreserved fund balance when you sell it? Or do you, I've never
Well,
heard
no.
of that.
No, I didn't say, just, it goes into the general fund. If you sell it, it goes into
Oh,
the
well,
general
you
fund.
did say unreserved though, that's
Well,
why it confused me, sorry,
but-
Don.
You get, follow the flow of, it goes into the general fund, it's a revenue for the year. At the end of the year,
it's not spent.
then it's not, can't spend it.
It becomes.
Yeah.
So then it automatically
Yeah.
becomes unreserved balance.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, got it.
By not doing anything with it, it becomes unreserved balance.
If we just let it go to the unreserved balance, then it's gonna be, people are gonna look at that as like
Oh, yeah.
money to
Slush
spend.
fund, yeah.
Right, and that's my problem with my plan, is because it should be held by the next couple boards. We don't have control over the
But
next
either
couple
one
boards.
of those plans will offset taxes over
Correct,
the
yes,
long
yes.
term for the
Yes.
taxpayers, which is
Yes.
a good
Oh,
way
yeah,
to use it.
which, yeah,
I
exactly.
don't, like,
Yes.
so there's two things. I don't know, Christina, do you know what the balance of that, or do you,
So,
Don?
I can tell you that the We don't have the full balance, but what we retained last year was not in the, you're talking about the fund balance?
No, I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about capital reserve.
Yeah, I have them here.
Jeff, it's
Which
on
one do
the,
you wanna see?
it's on the CIP
Go
plan.
specifically to fire.
I have them updated one.
Oh, okay.
So if I go to fire department,
Yeah.
okay, let me roll down, cause my
So you're
book stuff to them.
Fire equipment,
Like 50, 10.
It's, 375, roughly,
How much?
375,000.
So 375, right? That new engine's gonna cost at least $800,000.
okay.
So that's $425,000.
So we'll be able to double that easily.
What's that?
We'll be able to double that 375 probably.
Well, that's my thought, is if you do that, and then, you know, between fire equipment and the ambulance,
Yeah.
you could also get us back on track with ambulance purchasing and when they're being replaced, because we've been off track on that for years. And you're even, like, go down and take a look at that second ambulance right now, it's gonna become the third ambulance. And take it for a ride, and tell me, you know, we probably ought to be replacing these a bit quicker. And it could get that ball rolling. Because that's the one thing that, you know, I look at with these, you know, anything else in capital reserve that's behind the eight ball. I mean, the highway is never a question. We're never bonding highway department trucks to pay for them.
Not anymore.
No, highways just spent all their money. They have
Yeah.
$21,000 in their fund, that's it.
Yeah. But they have no major purchases coming up either.
Unless
Not
it's
for a
regular, it
year,
doesn't
I
matter,
think,
whichever way we do it.
And they're not million-dollar
Yeah.
purchases, they're easier to keep
Yeah.
up with.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, the last one was $242,000.
Yeah.
So it's gonna have the same net effect for the taxpayers, no matter
But just
how we-
when, it's when.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah,
I'm looking
exactly.
long-term at not paying interest.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a
You're
great
earning
idea. The other thing we do have to start doing is building up our fund balance though. Because we did apply money to the tax rate and we moved it down to, it was like 5-point-something%.
We could even come up with let's say the first 100,000 goes to the general fund, and then the remainder
Yeah.
goes to, you know,
Yeah, fire
between,
equipment.
some split between fire
Right,
and ambulance,
Right,
capital reserve. So,
And that way, we have made the decision of what to do with that money.
Right.
Like Don said,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
3
Yeah,
years down the road.
that's the problem with my suggestion, exactly.
And
'Cause
it's
I mean-
still gonna have the same effect.
You could easily have someone come in and say,
Yeah.
let's offset the, you know, try and offset
$5 of taxes.
$5 of taxes at town meeting. And who wouldn't, you know, who that doesn't know the inner workings of the town, not say, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I want
You
my
know,
taxes
and
increased.
do you,
Then I go back up.
$5 in tax, to do that, you'd have to have like $1 million.
Yeah, no,
But is
I
what
was
I'm
being,
saying, they don't understand that though. They don't, to do that, you'd have to have $1 million or more in your fund balance.
Right.
Well, I mean,
What's our fund balance
You-
now?
We haven't got, the audit is just being
$5 on
finalized,
our
but
taxes.
we
We
were
were
at,
at 7 something, weren't we?
we used money
Maybe
to offset the
$2.5
taxes
million
and we dropped it to
to
only a
offset
$5
$5 on our
retainage,
taxes.
which is the bottom.
We're the lowest we've ever been.
We're the lowest we've ever been in
Right.
our retainage. I don't have the final number from '23 yet, but when we dropped it, we were just almost 550,000,
Yeah.
that's
It's
it.
not like we'll probably put a lot of money into it this year.
2023 isn't finalized, we're pretty,
But
we'll
we were
put
still
some-
within DRA limits.
We were at the
Yes.
very bottom,
But
but
we
yes,
never
we
Yeah.
were
hit the
within.
bottom and mine-
We were 5.17% and the bottom's
But we
5%.
made a decision based on the
Yes,
salary increases and everything we were doing.
Right.
trying to
Yeah,
offset
no,
the
it's-
taxes.
We're
Which
probably
is
going to
right.
bite that bullet again this
It
year,
was the
Yeah.
right decision.
because of that, exactly what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we can start,
Yeah.
So
I was here when you guys made that decision, you did
Yeah.
it, right?
I like the idea of the 100,000 going into the general fund
Yeah.
Yep.
to start
Yep.
building that back up, but also then the benefit of reducing taxes with the rest of it too.
Yeah,
How do we split it?
yeah, and on this note, when we go back into non-public, one thing we should discuss, which is what I alluded to earlier, is what we want as a minimum bid.
Right.
Right,
So,
yes.
but that we should do in
Right.
non-public, obviously,
So
so.
when you look at the major purchases for police and major purchases for fire, there's gotta be a percentage of what police are gonna need over, you know, however many years you wanna do it and what fire's gonna need. Then maybe you can use that percentage to divide that money up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does, yeah. It's their capital expenditures are far less than
So
what.
they get far less of the pot, but at least.
And I think if you look at what their yearly capital expenditures are in relation to what they have available in capital reserve compared to the fire department, I think you'd find the percentage would be far higher with fire that's required to come out
Mhm.
of
Oh,
general
yeah.
taxation as opposed to what the PD is. And that's what I'm trying to level that.
Right.
Balance.
Yeah,
They have the detail fund too, so.
yeah.
Does that even do much anymore though, the detail fund?
25,000.
No, the detail fund only has about 7,000 in it right now.
It doesn't.
And that number may not be accurate.
I'm thinking we should,
we did change the,
We changed it to 100%,
yeah.
goes in, yeah.
I'm thinking it should all go to fire.
I mean, the
It's
cost
on
of the
100 in
fire
general
truck.
fund, the rest goes to fire.
Those are gonna be big, big numbers.
Even if we put 20,000 in the PD,
Yeah, it offsets a little bit for 1 year.
Okay, okay. I can go either way, either way.
I just went back and, not to change, I just went back and recalculated everything that's owed on the 76 Merrimack Street property. And I'm trying to get, I just got a bid form from the attorney, we're gonna have that posted hopefully by tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to get what is owed, but I had to calculate back from 2012 through now, so, it's ready to go, we just gotta get it out there, but we didn't say we were doing any kind of reserve bid on that, we were just putting it out to sealed bid. And maybe we wanna have that discussion too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and it, kind of to what you were just saying there, Carol, there's other things there that could also be, it's decisions that would have to be discussed with the chief, but like,
Yeah.
for instance, as far as cancer prevention, like every member down there should have a second set of turnout gear. Far from it, and that's like a huge expense. And, maybe that's something that he could take on as a project that could be looked at that we wouldn't otherwise even consider, because just from an expense standpoint, that it's just been overlooked for years and you just can't overcome that all in one shot. But
Yes.
this is an opportunity to maybe strike off some of those goals, or check off some of those goals.
Mhm.
And it is the fire station that we're selling,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the police may have lost their building, but they gained a whole new building.
Yeah, yeah.
Not like we could sell their
But the
building.
fire department did too, so we could really use, it's the
Right.
town's building. It's-
Yeah, yeah.
It's not really the fire department's
Yeah.
building. it's-
Oh, I could
It's
easily
the
make
town's
the argument that, hey,
building.
this should just go back to the general fund, it's the town's
Yeah.
building. and,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at what major expenses we have coming down the road.
That's a good point.
If we were looking at having let's say hypothetically, we had to replace we had to do the sewer project without, grant monies or whatever, and it was gonna cost us, we were looking at spending $1 million in a couple of years, I'd say, hey, maybe the sale of that property should go
yeah.
towards that, so we're not bonding that, but I don't know of any other major projects, I hope,
No.
I think
No,
we're
we're done
doing
with the
pretty
big-
damn well. That's the next major thing I can see coming up, and,
Mhm.
well, the only major thing I can see coming in the next 5 years, or,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's-
other than the regular continual
Mhm.
purchases, so.
Pardon me.
All right,
Any,
moving on.
any
Okay.
other thoughts on additional warrant articles? No, I mean, I haven't gotten anything from anybody else. Highway's not recommending anything. Police didn't, recommend anything.
Nothing from planning and zoning.
Well, they will have warrant articles, but they won't be, they'll be on here later.
What's
but-
the timeframe?
They have until January, the end of January, to get their public hearings done. Their public hearing, I'll actually email you the draft. We're waiting for the attorney response, but I'll email it to you. Their public hearing is December 11th. So in case
just
you're
throw a bunch of
interested,
stuff onto it.
they have a lot of stuff on it.
All right, let's talk about the tan.
So, let me just write my email, so I don't need to. So the tan, we had to go through the town's attorney, to determine exactly what we would be allowed to, borrow at this point. This is the minimum that we can do currently. If we end up needing additional funds, then, we can go back for a second tan. Not gonna do that if we can help it. But the opinion letter is the first one, which is 10A, that's from the attorney. The opinion is we can do 1.7 million, and we are going to need at least 1.1 of that for the bill that is due to the county on December 17th. So especially if we don't get a tax rate before that. The report from the school, I've talked to the school. The report from the school is that, they are going to try to submit their stuff by November next week, the end of November. They weren't feeling totally confident about it. So we're still waiting. They said they're starting to run low on cash, and they were supposed to send me a letter, and I didn't see it in my email, that I said, we don't have any money to pay you. We owe that, technically we owe them 1.1 million, roughly, because we owe them October and November. But our tax rates setting is October, November, December, January, February, March. So the money we'd be collecting now with the tax rate is what we would be paying them normally. So I did let her know that. I said, if it comes down to it, there's a potential that we could come up with half a payment, but I can't guarantee you even that, because we have this bill hanging over our heads, and we still have to pay payroll until we can get a tax rate set. Payroll's the biggest thing. We're watching the money like a hawk right now. We're waiting right now. We just got a transfer from the trustees of the trust funds to cover the truck, the $242,000 truck. But we had to wait for them to sign off on the checks, so we can't cash that check till Monday, and then that will go back into the account. We're working on the public safety building numbers now to see if that fund owes the general fund. It does, but we're trying to finalize that so we can transfer money there. And we are also, we're 2 more transfers that will be coming to you on December 5th, if not before, to try and get those transferred as well, which is the town building maintenance fund. Actually, it's town building and public safety, so those are the 2. We're trying to get those transfers done. This will help us. We don't want to do it unless we have to. It's a drawdown. We don't get charged anything unless we draw it down. But when we need it, we can transfer the money and use it. And then we pay interest, it's 4.9% interest, so.
That's not awful.
No, they did it on a year basis, the interest, if you look at that, so we.
Yeah, it's an annual.
Most TANs are only for 3 months, that's all TD Bank would let us do when we were looking with them, and that's why we couldn't go with TD Bank, because we weren't sure if we had taxes when we were talking about this. So it's 1.7 million, it's a year, we're not going to keep it for a year, we're gonna pay it back as soon as we can, if we even need it, but we need it in place, just in case.
Okay, we need a vote on this, right?
You do, and there's a lot of signing. The sign here stickers are, in this folder is where all of the select board needs to sign. The green is for Kathleen, and the red is for me to have Cheryl from the town clerk,
So you need this motion read though?
Yes. I didn't
Oh,
write a
you already
motion,
on it?
sorry.
Nope, I'm not.
I should have wrote you a motion, sorry about
You
that.
did.
Did I?
On Exhibit A, certificate of town clerk.
Oh, that's too funny, no, the attorney did.
Oh, nice. So I would make a motion that the vote entitled "Vote to Authorize $1.7 million Tax Anticipation Note for Fiscal Year of 2024 be approved in the form presented to this meeting, and that an attested copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting."
I'll second. Yeah, Scott.
Is that
Okay,
what you
motion
needed?
by Les,
Yes, thank you.
second by Scott. Any discussion? Okay. All of those, no. No, I was not hung up on that. Just for the record.
I was nicotine.
Thinking if he had a comment.
I'll add it to my stuff to talk about. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second,
Close.
opposed? Motion passes.
So we'll pass the folder around, there's,
I'm gonna start passing these around individually, so we can move on.
Yes.
I'll bring those over to her.
do you want me to go ahead with the TA report while you're
No.
signing? No,
I'm
okay.
gonna go off.
Off schedule, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Off agenda?
Do we
Oh wait,
need,
you guys have to re-sign this one.
What's this, the green is what?
Just the cover page has to be signed by you guys.
Is that it?
What?
Yes. That's the one you all signed the inside by accident. You could just sign the top, just the top.
I should have asked that question.
No, the sticker was there.
I didn't
Sticker
put,
was
I
there.
put them there, sorry, or did
Alright.
I move it?
These
Never
ones.
mind. That's I might have put the sticker on the wrong spot. Go ahead, sorry, Rob.
do we need to restrict spending until all this stuff's resolved?
The only issue with restricting spending would be that if there were purchases that anybody saved for the end of the year, if they can't get them done before December 31st, they can't do them.
Right, but if
But you're
they,
right.
my thought is that we tell department heads that have your spending in line and wait, but maybe not a spending freeze, but, or maybe like a spending freeze for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I did compose an email to them that was going out tomorrow. Let me find where I put it. That talks about the spending, but I can change that.
No, it was probably a mistake when we.
I just thought of it as soon as I turned the page, that, like, they're both gonna correct me.
I mean, that's what people would do, that's what people would do at home, right?
Yeah, right, Rob?
Yeah.
That's what your wife does at home.
No, that's
Correct.
Oh.
So they're talking about spending freeze.
There are some things that are in the pipeline, but we could, like our transfer station, they have to get out there to fix they have to finish the camera system, they have to finish the,
Yeah, now there's certain things we can't avoid, but I'm just thinking like,
thank you.
you know, if, Victor's looking at it, hey, I got some money to buy a new plate compactor, well, let's put that on hold for, till mid-December.
Don't buy $500 worth of paper towels if you don't have to next week.
Yeah,
I'll add that in here. I did put it in here that we were running low on funding, working on a tax anticipation note. And then I can add, at this time, we want to hold off any
Okay.
major purchases,
any
non-essential
non-essential purchases.
that haven't already been approved,
Yeah.
because we just approved Jeff's truck, but, that haven't
Yeah.
already been approved.
But Jeff's truck is coming out, that's,
It'll come from the general fund first,
yeah,
and then we'll get the money back in as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But we pay the bill, so we're looking to change that in the future, but right now, all of water and sewer bills are paid from the general fund, and then we have to do the transfers to transfer them back,
yeah.
so.
Where are we?
He went off.
No, which document are you working from? I
We
didn't
are-
see
I'm not working
He
from a
went
document.
off, he went off agenda.
I just went rogue.
Yep.
Well, I got nothing to say about that. I got no defense.
You're the only one that thinks.
You get no defense for that?
I have no complaint on.
Oh, no complaint.
On anyone going rogue.
Alright,
saying
so
something.
basically I call a spending freeze just to,
It's a great point.
yeah. Town administrator's report.
That's what I was asking, where in this folder is that?
It's under
Information only
number
or items?
11.
Items
Oh,
for
if you
discussion?
wanna look, so if you wanna look at the items, go into items for discussion. Oh, crap. That's on TV, but I just said that too. Never mind. First one is the meeting manager contract. We already talked about this. I wanted to get it updated before, sorry about your bag. Updated before the end of the year. If you look in the items for discussion, it is the one that says TAMMC. It has the rate that we agreed upon, we put that in the budget. Kate's looked at it, has no issues, no other changes were done in it. And if you're okay with that, I just need a motion to have the TA sign, because I think I left it upstairs.
I'll make a motion to allow the town administrator,
To
sorry,
stamp your initials, actually.
say again?
Can you do motion to allow me to stamp, because I have it signed by you?
To stand for us?
Yes, please.
I make a motion to approve the agreement for professional media manager services and to allow the town administrator to stamp signatures for the select board.
Second.
Is that correct?
Thank you.
Motion by Carol, second by Les, any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Under TA Park, there's an email concern about parking downtown and in the TD Bank parking lot. We addressed the concern about the vehicle that had been for sale. However, the response from, and I believe that this person may have vended some ears at town meeting, or not town meeting,
Oh, yeah.
elections. So I just wanted to touch base with the board because their recommendations to change the ordinance to create limits on parking. Does the board have any thoughts about making or pursuing that change?
To say it again?
Um,
Suggestion to do what?
It says maybe it's time to put some of the burden on the landlords for their tenants and then it talks about, and it might be time for us to limit, but I think I didn't put the right one in here. Boy, am I failing today. In her emails, it has asked us to consider putting limits on the time and the parking. I think that's what she talked to you about as well, Carol Brown. So before, I don't want to pursue that avenue if the board has no interest in doing that at this time. But if the board wanted us to pursue and start looking into a different type of parking ordinance for the town, I wanted to get that direction from you.
How many,
Go ahead, Carol.
how many parking spaces are we losing to people using them for a whole day, 24/7, or overnight? or-
There's a few cars that are parked there 24/7. The one with the for sale sign have been parked there for a long time. We did tell them that they can't put their car up for sale in the town parking lot and leave it there 24/7. They did remove the sign.
Okay, so that's a sort of a.
That's a different
one-off,
runoff,
right?
yeah. So they do have to be out of the, there's nothing in the parking ordinance rules that says you have to be out of that parking space except when there's a winter event. When there's a winter event, it says you cannot park overnight in certain parking areas like downtown or TD Bank is one of the designated parking spaces. The lower library, I think, is the other designated, and the Spring Street parking is the third designated.
Designated meaning you can park
You
there?
can park there overnight, but you have to be out by 8 AM in the morning so that we have time to clean the parking lot up. That's the existing parking right now, ordinance.
I think I'd like to see a 24-hour limit be put on all town parking.
So,
Go ahead, Carol.
Hasn't there always been some allowance for people that are renting downtown to use town parking?
There is.
There has been, right?
Yeah.
If you rent an apartment downtown, one of the second floor apartments that doesn't have any parking.
Except for winter, they're not allowed to park in the downtown area
Yes,
during
get
winter.
that,
yeah.
but you would assume that person's gonna move their car once a day, maybe.
We're gonna have to. Yeah. Or maybe it's called 36 hours. You know, or, you know, maybe even go to 48, but this eliminates cars sitting there for sale downtown.
Yeah, well, but,
Okay.
Can I ask a question before you? So how would you enforce that though? Because you'd have to hire a meter person who's gonna tag their, maybe it's a blue color on their tire saying they were there at 8 PM. And then when you
So
drive.
we go back again to discouragement.
yes.
Yes,
So,
so,
yeah, so are we gonna hire a person to go down there and enforce it? No. But when somebody says, hey, that car's been sitting there since last Thursday,
right,
then you go down there, you see it, the clock starts. And, you know, if it's still there 48 hours from then you're hooking.
right.
Or even if you can prove that it's been there 5 years for certain.
Right, exactly.
All right, so what do you consider moving, Rob?
Going to the next space over. I knew you were gonna say that, I agree with you.
Whatever, so what if they do? Scott, it's just,
It's
this-
not, it's not,
it's,
it's
this
a
is
moot point.
deterrence, not,
It's a new point then.
you know, it's a moot point.
I think that, I'm trying to recall the conversation I had at voting. The person was concerned that not every landlord is required to provide a space, and that's not fair. Am I getting that about right? Some landlords do provide a space,
There's some that cannot provide a space.
and that's
because of-
not fair. That was the comment, where I think
It
that
may
was.
not be fair, but it's also not the town's problem.
I'm just throwing out what I think what I was told.
Yeah.
If you, well, let's just throw out which building? The old hotel building. There's no parking, because it's town parking. That building, the old hotel building, is just the hotel.
Yeah.
And a little bit of ground behind it. But the parking in front of it is all town parking.
Right.
But there are how many units in there? What, 3 or 4 living units?
So, and we're gonna be adding some parking
Well,
when we get there.
But we just
I have an
want
update.
to eliminate vehicles sitting there for days on end.
Right.
So I can research other ordinances that are working ordinances and see what they're doing and try and come up with wording for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any way of discouraging business owners from parking in front of their
In
place
front
and
of
then
their
complaining that there's no place for
I know.
for their customers?
Uh,
Because that's the other issue is, the
well,
other issue is downtown parking
I've
for
actually had
downtown.
I've had this discussion with a downtown business owner, and I said, I think you should form a downtown business alliance and have this discussion with your other downtown business owners, and maybe that'll get through their tits.
That's a good point.
Take it to the Economic Development Committee.
Because that's the other complaint that is constant.
Yeah.
is There's no downtown parking for the businesses.
Seems like common sense, doesn't it?
Excuse me.
You would
You
think,
one would think.
it's not so
Christina.
common.
Next.
Good.
Just a reminder, the town report submissions are due on, well, just to tell you, the town report submissions are due January 6th. Anybody who is a committee or a committee, commission, whatever, they are also due the same timeframe. We have a little bit of leeway on the board. I have a list of some things for the executive summary, but I want you to start thinking about special recognition if you're going to do that, and dedication. We'll do that in non-public. I have a list of who's been dedicated before, what special recognitions we've done before, and I also have a list of things that have happened this year and want to make sure we didn't miss anything, so. Granite group bench, you can see pictures of it under TA bench. The bench had previously been they asked to put a bench in memory for Denise DeStefano, which we thought was a great idea, and we had recommended here. I think there might have been some miscommunication, and it was installed in Millstream. I sent Victor out, Victor looked at the location, and there's another picture it shows, right, the picture that shows the full bench by where the path goes across the bridge. Victor says it's in a good location, it's out of the way, and it's installed good, so he felt it was appropriate.
Who installed it?
We do not know. I can share it for,
I don't know, what picture's that of it?
it's,
TA before.
TA bench, Mill Stream, Park 3.
it's this one. So it really does look good there. It's not in the way, it's off the path. So I just wanted you to be aware that it was there,
It's
and
nice.
it is a very nice bench,
It is.
in memory for Denise DeStefano, so.
Nice.
Excellent.
Parsonage project, under TA Church, there's the survey plan is the current survey plan that we've received. The good news is there's measurements on it now. I am gonna start doing the unmerger, but I've also sent this to the town's attorney to start getting the deed written with the unmerger and make sure there's nothing else missing. This is the way the two lots will look. So, mine's frozen. See if I can pull it up here. So this is the way the two lots will look in the unmerger. The red outline, it will be the church lot. And then, so the town would get the remaining spots. The question, I've talked to one of the church representatives. They are very interested in a boundary line adjustment for us to take the others' parking spaces. But I want to get the sale done first before we even go that route, get this all done here, and then we can certainly go that route if the board's interested.
So right now it doesn't include the 4 spaces? right?
Yes.
So we got 17 without that.
So that, and then also in your packets, the church has been doing some research on the mortgage that came up in the title search. What they've found, and I've sent it to the town's attorney to determine if that's sufficient or not. They found a 1958 clerk's report that says that they did go pay the mortgage. The problem is it doesn't look like they have, it was ever recorded. And then if you look under the one that says mortgage indemnification, it's the agreement that the town's attorney drew up. The church is willing to sign that. So, everything's before the town's attorney right now. I'll start filling out the unmerger application tomorrow, and we'll go from here.
Wonderful.
Is the timeframe gonna get done by the end of the year?
The purchase will definitely get done before the end. I think we can do the closing. I don't wanna say, I'm not gonna jinx myself. We'll before the end of the year.
So we don't need to encumber.
Not the
Yeah.
purchase. It's
Demo.
the other money that, I'm gonna talk to Mike Vignali about and see what we can do there, so.
Okay, wonderful.
So.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank
you.
And the office and the rest of the office.
That was a pain in the butt.
I know that we did have our research analyst do some work.
Like pulling teeth.
What?
It's like pulling teeth.
Yeah, and it still is. I'm holding my breath. I think we're there, but I'm holding my breath, so. The other thing, we've already kind of talked about the RSAs, with the elections. When we start talking about the warrant more, we should talk about the location for elections going forward. So I'll skip that one. Highway oil separator, the highway department drains were backing up. In Victor's research, they opened a large tank that soils the oil that is separated from the water I left the word out, in the drain, from the drains. The tank
Where
was
was that?
at the highway department.
No, on here, it's not.
You don't have a
Thank
picture, you just have it in the report.
Yeah.
They opened up that tank, it was completely full, it probably hasn't been emptied. I've never heard of it being emptied since I've been here, and Victor said he hadn't either in his 9 years, so we think it's been just filling up over time.
It's at the building, it's at the garage.
Yeah. So, Crystal Clean had quoted us the 2,900, so they were picked to go do but when they went out there, it was a much larger tank than anticipated. It's gonna cost somewhere around 5K. There's no budget line for this, and it is an unanticipated expense, so the thought is either to pay from the building maintenance fund or the contingency fund.
Yeah.
Does the board have a preference?
Building maintenance.
Okay.
And what's the tank for again?
So when the drains, when
They work inside the base,
They
and
work
the truck
inside
is a drain that
it drains
goes
out
into
the oil, it's like sludge. It
Yeah,
has
yeah,
to
but
be.
ice, snow melt,
Yeah.
it'll,
It's only a water separator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's filled up over years and years, and probably
Yeah, yeah.
people just forgot about that it was there until I started backing up into the building.
Well,
So-
in that case, it's probably contributing some unnecessary oil to the treatment plant, the wastewater plant.
So the money for the bucket truck,
Yeah,
where is that money sitting?
in a deferred revenue insurance budget right now. So Victor wanted to, before we went forward with this, it is a good option. This individual, Michael Sharp Enterprises, gets auction information quite often
Right.
and can go out and see those things. He's willing to bid on the auction, pick it up for us, not charge us in any kind of fee to do that. And then we would just pay him for the bucket truck. If
Anybody have
that's,
an issue?
where is it? Is the bucket truck?
It
there?
doesn't
There is no bucket
exist
truck.
yet.
there's not,
They're
it's
gonna be
just,
watching for one.
Oh.
so if Victor wanted a not to exceed number of 18,000, which would allow for any additional funds that remain in the insurance to pay for radios, signage for the truck, if you agree to it.
Good with that?
Mhm.
So you need a motion?
No.
buy a red one?
Yeah, make sure it's white or
No.
green. I'm dead serious.
Jimmy,
No.
it says if the board agrees, we would like a motion to approve the.
Oh, sorry, Les, you're right. Good, what is going on tonight? So yes, if you agree, we would like a motion, if you could.
Would entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a bucket truck not to exceed $18,000 and not be red.
I make a motion
I was
that
gonna
we
say-
approve to use up to $18,000 to purchase a bucket truck
That's
and
about
to
right.
work with Sharp Enterprises to obtain the vehicle.
Second.
Motion by Carol, second by Les, any discussion?
Is there enough money painted if it's red?
How much money is in that fund?
I can tell you.
Second-
Money that we
second
can
by
have it
Scott.
repainted.
There's not enough to repaint it, sorry.
Whatever.
The bucket truck is 21,000. $21,314, so that would leave money to be able to pay for the extra stuff.
Paint it.
Yeah.
Do you need-
Okay, all those in favor?
Do we,
Opposed?
do we,
Was there any discussion?
Go ahead, Karen.
discussion, do we need in the motion that the additional funds that remain in the insurance payoff to go to radio and signage or not?
No.
No.
10-4, then I am in favor, aye.
Hemlock Brook Road, probably should be more of a discussion tonight. Peaked Hill Road, both have been graded, additional fill added one more time for the winter season. They had to go out again today because Hemlock Brook Road, somebody tore up the road again. So they went out today, and after he went out today, someone tore it up again.
So I
Who's
meant to
there
have this
now?
conversation
Yeah,
with
no.
Chris while he was here. Could you have this conversation with Chris tomorrow and see if they can start patrolling that occasionally? So what's happening is Victor sent me the pictures, they're literally like going up the hill, hammering it from side to side, And he sent me a picture of when they come up to Coach Road, like just swinging the back of the truck
The
around,
fishtail, you can see.
spraying gravel all over the place. So this is way more than just regular.
So it would be
wear.
vandalism.
That's one.
Yeah,
That's reckless driving.
yeah.
Not kids.
But we're paying to repair this, because
Well-
somebody's.
We are paying.
Yeah,
The
the
greater-
problem is we gotta
Right.
catch whoever's doing
Right.
it.
So they were out there Monday, the grader broke, they had to get it back, weld it, get it back out there
Yeah.
again.
So could you just have that conversation with Chris and, see if they can, whatever he thinks, step up patrols or.
Yeah.
Deploy a
You
camera.
wanna put a
They have some cameras.
Facebook post out to say if anyone
If
knows who's
that's what
doing
he
the
feels
damage
that-
of
Yeah.
on Hemlock Brook Road,
Chris could do that.
please contact the
Chris
office.
can do that,
Yeah,
tell him to talk to Victor.
Yeah,
And, maybe even throw that sign out there for a day or two to let, it's not gonna do anything, but it lets people know we're watching.
yep.
Yep.
that's
Does that sign
The
have a
camera
camera?
have the ability to put cameras on.
I don't think
They have
so.
hidden cameras.
It might.
Others. We've
I'm
given
It
trying
might,
to
yeah.
remember if he
Tim,
said that.
that's Tim.
It might.
But I think it would be good to post it on Facebook saying, anybody that has any information
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the reckless driving that's happening on Hemlock Brook
Yeah.
Road, please send
You'd
information.
think
to-
the neighbors would want, the people on Hemlock Brook Road would be watching to call anyway,
Right.
because they have to be annoyed by it.
You would think.
Yeah.
Plus, they're all annoyed with it.
Yep.
So Jonelle and Ernest were also graded, they didn't need to add any material, but there had been a concern raised by, abutters on one of those roads that it hadn't been done. We were trying to do the priority ones, which were Hemlock Brook and Peaked Hill, because those were in a lot worse shape, so we've gotten those taken care of. Scheduling reminders, if the school meets their deadline and we don't get our tax rate set for December 5th, I will have to have a special meeting with you to get the tax rate set, so just giving you that heads up ahead. I am also going to be out of the office half day December 3rd and all day December 4th for medical procedure, so I will be here for the select board meeting, and I'm gonna try to make sure I have all your materials out early as possible, so.
You won't be here.
I won't be here that afternoon, I'll be here for your meeting on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Well, I should be here for your meeting on Thursday.
If all goes well.
They said to me, you're somebody who's gonna pick you up and stay with you 24 hours. I said, stay with me 24 hours? What are you talking about? I'm like, I have somebody who's picking me up. We're good. Review of your next meetings are December 5th and December 19th. December 19th is your final meeting of the year. We will have a lot of stuff potentially. We have encumbrances, budget transfers potentially, anything else that we might need to get in before the end of the year. And then December 20th, we are holding the holiday luncheon here from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If any of the board is going to attend, please RSVP by December 6th, so I know what I need for food.
You said it would go
What? You don't have to go. You want me to send you an invite, is that what you just said?
Yes.
I have no idea, that was not what he said.
He said, could you send an email out? He was talking.
It's so I can reference it and then check my other phone.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll forget.
I can.
I should just bring my work phone in.
There, in the information only, there's a newsletter from the Department of Energy, and then there's the letter that was sent out to the property owner. If you wanted to take a look at that, it was sent, so.
Nicely done.
I was thinking of something else.
What was the property owner, what?
Hey, go look in information only
Yeah, it's in the
folder.
information only, I was looking at it.
If-
Okay. Select board items, Carol.
Nothing.
Don,
I'm good.
Scott.
I think I had some for non-public. But.
Okay, well, I got enough for all of you, so. Good. I'd like to start out with an apology. Last meeting, I meant to recognize, and I actually wanted to have a moment of silence and recognize John Bianchi, who passed away a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, we got I lost track of things between the non-public session and the work session and the public session, and I apologize for that, but John was a longtime member of the community and put, I think, 47 years in with the fire department alone, and just as many, if not more, with the Masonic Lodge, and was a pillar of the community. So I just wanted to recognize that first and foremost. Second, we just talked about Hemlock Brook Road. Just as an FYI, Village Pizza has been sold. They, I believe, were closing today.
Their closing was delayed.
Yeah.
In a
What's
Coca-Cola
that?
truck.
I think their closing was
The closing
delayed.
was delayed,
Yeah.
but it's definitely progressing forward very quickly. I'm not gonna give any details. I know a lot of details, but I don't feel at liberty to give them. But all that I know is that they have purchased, or are purchasing Village Pizza in the lot next door, and it will remain a restaurant.
I did forget something after.
Christmas tree, Christmas tree.
Can we, I just had another email,
Do we need to talk about that in non-public? Or is it-
because I just want to make sure what you've decided, because this email contradicts what Les told me earlier, so.
So here's where I'll tell you where we're at, is that they are going to Ken Braley's tomorrow to pick out a
Okay.
tree. He is going to get it here on Monday, and Victor will take care of
So
standing,
it's gonna come from Ken Braley instead?
Yeah, that's what I just,
potentially, as
Okay.
long as they find something that they like.
that's what
if
this
not-
email says, so.
If not, I am going to go get it, potentially with the help of a local business on Monday, and it'll be the same thing. So either way, we'll have a Christmas tree here on Monday.
And the fire department will decorate.
And yeah, so I've talked to, I've informally spoken with Matt O'Neill. He's kind of taking care of decorating the station and stuff. And he's gonna come up here tomorrow, get all the lights. He's gonna come see you tomorrow for a key.
They're in there, yeah.
Yep, so he's gonna get all the lights, test all the lights out and everything.
Nice.
And I just told him, I said, I don't have the bandwidth to do that this year. I said, I'm more than happy to help go get it and everything.
Can you imagine him taking lights apart right now?
Oh my God.
They're actually, I think, wrapped.
Yeah, you see Clark Griswold.
No, it's the 12 pains of Christmas. You'd be screaming by the end
Yeah.
of the 12
Yes.
pains. Not
Yes.
even yet.
So, yeah, so tree's good.
Thank you for that.
I'd be at the bottom of the ladder correcting me.
Oh, every video.
And somebody else out there interrupting me. Or then we have the trifecta. I'd jump out of the tree.
Who did he say seconded that motion?
All right. Chris Road, you emailed me earlier.
Yes,
Do you want to bring that up, or?
we can, because,
So a resident on Old Crystal Road, not me. There's-
Oak Crest.
Oh,
Sounded like you said Chris Road.
I know, I
So
thought-
Christina emailed me, basically said resident is asking for either a dead end sign or a no outlet sign on a road, because a lot of people come up through there and turn around. My comment to Christina was like, I don't have a problem with it, I kind of agree with it. I don't know as though it's gonna alleviate the problem, because one of the biggest problems on that road is people are coming into town, they're having a conversation, they're on the phone, and they know they're gonna lose cell phone service at the homestead, so they take a ride up into Oak Crest. And they either take a right, turn around and sit there, or they take a right and just cruise up the hill and cruise back down, which is fine if they're going 25, 30 miles an hour. But there's, I know, I certainly see where her concern is.
Yeah.
on this one, so.
Sure.
The no outlet sign wouldn't alleviate that problem.
I don't believe
I
so.
don't believe so.
I don't even believe even a dead end sign's gonna alleviate that for.
Because they already
I-
know.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation years ago with Mr. Buckland on my street, on Overlook. Asked him for a no outlook sign, and he said, no, I don't want to put one there. He didn't see the worth of it, you know? So,
Victor didn't
Yeah.
see it either, so I was asking Rob if he, because Rob's on the road, if he sees the issue and if there is a concern that we should be,
Yeah.
so.
So what were Victor's thoughts on it?
I'm trying to remember, I think he didn't think that it was needed, is what he said. I think
Anybody can drive on any town road if they want.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
It does let you know, if you didn't know, and you thought you were gonna go through, that you can, so some.
It-
Yeah.
it would be
It
better
might
if
help.
you marked your driveway, do not turn around or something,
Right.
but they're still ignore that as well.
Well, and I can tell you right now, you know the first driveway they turn around in?
Yours.
Mine. Because it's the first like paved driveway that's easy to turn.
Well, if there's a dead end sign, they're gonna pull into the road and have to turn around somewhere in
Yeah.
your driveway.
So,
I don't know, I
Oh.
guess it's 6 to 1, half a dozen.
one of these days, I'm gonna put my no turnaround sign with
Yeah.
my no soliciting sign when I get around to it, but
Yeah.
in the meantime, you know what? If the dog makes the dog bark, that's about it,
As
so.
long as your property's not getting damaged.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother issue, and that's an issue with commercial vehicles turning around in my driveway, but that's not anything that we're.
Coca-Cola trucks?
What's that?
Coca-
No Coca-Cola trucks.
You see, you laugh. I did it once.
Yeah.
I first started driving, it was in a small truck, I was in Bow, and I was like, I'm on the wrong street, I'm like, I had to get turned around.
Yeah.
And I had to back up in the driveway, and all sure enough, someone come out. They came out, you can't be turning around here, you're gonna damage my driveway. I followed them.
So final thoughts are, I do not think it's going to change anything.
I don't think it's gonna change anything, I would,
But
but, you know, I would, you know, certainly relay the comments that we've made about it, and that it's not, it's certainly not something we're just blowing off, I just don't think it solves the problem.
Would a speed limit sign solve the problem?
I'd say put it up, it can't hurt anything, that's what I say.
Maybe we decrease the
I would
speed
say, if we have one kicking around, there's no.
But don't special order one.
Sure, yeah.
You good with that?
I certainly have no issue with one going up.
I
I
did
mean,
think about it.
it's a 5-person board, so we don't have to agree.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm good either way.
I'm good with trying it.
While you're doing it, put one on Overlook too.
What's a sign cost like that?
More
And if we have to buy them, I don't know,
$100
because they all have to be the New York.
Probably it's gotta be more than
It's
that.
more than that.
Might have
The
one.
post, yeah, 50 and 100.
Probably, if he probably has the post, because usually they'll buy the post and they'll have some on hand. So, I haven't ordered signs for
Well,
them in forever, so I don't know.
It would probably go on the street side, the same sign, the same post as the street sign.
It could,
Yeah.
yeah.
If we have to buy a sign now, I say no, because we're trying to not spend any money.
Right, yeah, we're not spending money,
Exactly.
spending freeze, so
Okay.
nix it.
All right, public comments, Kate?
Oh, I do have a
I'm
comment.
done.
Do we have any
I have
sort
one
of-
more, I have more, sorry.
Did
You
everybody else?
got your time, you get your time, it's
I-
Kate's time.
We didn't ask on
I
it.
didn't get my time.
You
I had to go to my truck
No,
and get a
you
note.
walked out. All right, Les.
Thank you. So I get, two things about the Christmas tree. Is it time to plant a tree down there?
Please?
Because I think it was Victor that said, oh no, it was Scott Doucette said, you can get a tree big enough that it's gonna be good for the next year and have it planted down there. You don't buy a little tiny Christmas tree and let it grow. And I know, I think it was that maybe the decorating committee didn't wanna take up space down there with a tree. I think that was it.
But I spoke to
I think they changed their
Lucille,
mind.
I think it was just Lucille I spoke to, who was all for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Then
She
then-
changed her mind.
Yeah, good. Then maybe we wanna look at that.
And those other trees aren't there now,
Right.
so maybe now having that would Well, it's not, it's a different type of tree, but, I mean, it would fill that space a little differently.
And you-
I
Yeah.
think so, and from a sustainability, you know, there's people that say that every year we're not cutting down a tree, so.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll just, maybe add that to Belknap's quote.
Yeah, because that's gonna have to
Big
be
tree.
professionally done.
Well, you probably.
Speaking of which, are we putting that on the warrant?
The trees.
Oh, that's a good question. We didn't put it on the warrant.
What's
We might want to,
Trees.
because,
Yeah, I'll buy a tree.
and it would include, because if we're gonna save that other tree, if we're gonna save the big tree
Yeah.
at the parsonage.
So I would say get with Belknap right away, get a quote
I
on,
have their old one, I'll just ask them to update it.
no, I'm talking about adding that tree to
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Christmas tree.
Some type of fir or spruce or,
Whatever would do well
I think
there.
spur-
do best.
Who would know? Sean would have an idea
Yeah.
what would be good, right?
yeah.
And how big should we start so that it's reasonable?
Well, that's, if they're gonna be there doing that work anyway,
Right.
they can tell us what's gonna be the
Yeah.
most, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Christina, are you gonna talk about the signs?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what
I have one more thing.
Less time.
I have one more.
If you wanna take over this meeting, Scott,
I asked
you
a
just,
question. I
you
cried.
did, yeah, you
This
asked
is
a
the
question.
crankiest meeting we've had.
That's twice
The
you
other
offered
thing
it.
is, so now I know of 3 people that have gotten late fees for their water sewer bill that mailed them in plenty of time. One supposedly turned, and I don't know that this is true, but supposedly was mixed in with a pile. 2 of them were, well, 3 of them if I count my husband, but were elderly residents. But Phil had it postmarked, you know, he had it in mid-October, it was sent in, and when he called to say, it hasn't cleared the bank, I don't know why it hasn't cleared the bank, and why are you charging me $10? And the response was, well, I'll have to see if we can let that go, I'll have to check with Jeff. And his response was, check all you want, I'm not paying the $10 late fee when I paid it on time. But there were 2, now I've heard of 2 other older residents that the same thing happened to. So something's going on that,
Let's open up a grace period on that of a couple of weeks.
Well, we're actually working with the department right now to try and make some changes. Jeff looked at them today, and he likes the process that we're outlining. That becomes more of a non-public
Yep.
discussion.
Yep.
There is a grace period already, I think.
There was an
From the due
issue,
date.
and so
10 days.
there was an issue.
Right, but I'm saying
That
like,
was
more
out.
like if people call in the next couple of weeks,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Right.
hey,
Well, we
That-
just sent out billing, so there won't be a late fee yet. This is from before, isn't it?
if it was paid mid-October, when would those bills have gone out?
That would have been, if it was paid mid-October, that would have gone out probably September. Maybe, we'll have to look.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. There's, with Jeff's absence, the grace period, there was some,
It would just be
Hiccups.
nice for them to know to say,
yep,
we understand there was an issue, we're gonna just waive it,
Different
not,
topic.
well, I'll have to look into that and see if we can waive it or not.
yeah.
It'd be nice, customer relations.
okay.
That's all I have.
Okay,
I'm back to me.
One more question.
No, I'm kidding, go ahead.
Since I was down on Lakeside Road yesterday working on the deck of Mrs. Stewart, have we finalized the decision to go one way on that? I thought we did.
Did we?
yes, we did.
Yes.
And then it was gonna be one way except for the Red Fox piece?
Yeah,
Up to, yeah,
Whatever.
that's my fault.
Pinmore, thank you.
Good reminder.
also, speed limit sign,
That's not my fault.
but I thought we agreed we were putting them up anyway,
Yes.
There is one on there.
same with Shore Drive.
So we did find out that we have the ability to set a seasonal speed limit, but not below 20 miles an hour. There's a new law that went in place. So we can do it, but we can't go below 20 according to the statute.
20 seems
And I asked
We can't enforce below 20.
right.
that's why we had already discussed this and said that we were going to buy 15-mile-an-hour signs
I
and
thought,
not
We
enforce
did have
it.
that conversation.
we
right?
did have the conversation, but I didn't think it was decided to finalize when Tim was here, because Tim had a good argument why not to, but I can't remember, I can certainly go ahead.
Let's buy the 15-mile-an-hour signs and put them up and be done with this.
Somebody has their hand raised.
Hi, Scott. Would you like to speak?
Yes, please. I believe the data showed that there was not enough people going over the speed limit, so there was no sense.
I thought we were doing more survey, we were gonna do another survey, right?
That's what Tim's data showed, that's what Tim showed.
Right, that's right, he did say that.
So I just wanna
Right,
make sure
but-
I didn't forget something, but I thought we said we weren't gonna do it yet.
Except that the data is based on you being able to see that radar detector almost the entire length of the street before you get to it.
Yeah.
So,
As soon as people see it, they slow down.
right, so it's kind of biased, that says, it's the way it, well,
So the RSA does say, it authorizes municipalities under certain conditions to set a seasonal speed limit of not less than 20 miles per hour, which does not exceed a maximum duration of 4 months in any 12-month period for municipal roads.
So do we put
The last
20?
I remember is you had me also looking into how we do it with the DOT. But if I missed something, we'll take care of it right
I
away.
think we talked about putting up 15s, but I don't think we all said yes. I don't think we voted or said, let's do that.
Right, I
We
think
talked
we
about
did
it.
leave it hanging,
I think so.
so 15 or 20.
And
Well,
if
let's
we,
take it up in January. Because we're not spending any money right now.
Right.
That's right.
So
But-
now
And
what
he
we
would
decide?
have to order the signs, so.
Yeah, follow up on the
Could
one
instruct
way,
them in
they may
Yeah,
decide.
we're
January.
only out to now, yeah.
Because the chief's gonna have to decide where the two-way
And
restart.
And the
seasonal.
same thing with the one-way, that's gonna have to be taken care of.
If they
Yeah.
don't have signs.
Well,
right.
it's not probably as crucial right now as it would be
It's
in
not.
the summer.
It's not. Except when they have the.
Yeah,
red
Stop
if we put,
speeding.
if the RSA says 20 and we put 15 up,
we're,
It's
then
not enforceable.
Even if somebody
It's not
goes down,
enforceable, but it's.
yeah, even 60 mile an hour
You
down
could
there won't
enforce
be
it.
enforceable.
You
Because
could
the lawyer
enforce
will say
any
that's-
speed.
You have it posted incorrectly.
Probably.
So,
Right.
they
so
could
we
fight
won't be
it.
able to enforce any of
So
them.
maybe you do
That's
put
all.
20.
We can take
That's the
it
only
up,
concern.
I'll get
I-
more information, but we can take it up in January and then we can be sure. what we
Yeah,
want
see
to
if
do.
we can get it to, whatever we gotta do to put it.
And if it makes it unenforceable for a higher speed limit.
Yeah.
Depends on the person's lawyer.
Mm-hmm, true that.
Okay,
She's out for 2 months.
I would
Make a
entertain
motion to go into
Whoever gets the
Oh,
non-public.
no, I'm not done.
Oh, she's not
You
done.
guys skipped me again.
Go ahead.
The sign is moved, if you haven't seen the sign out here. The best location considering the wires underground and trying to keep it back a little from the telephone poles. Are any concerns with the location?
Looks great.
Scott didn't look like he liked it.
no,
I
no,
forgot to
I know,
look.
I wanted to say, I noticed that and the fire department's poster up.
The
And I wanted to
fire,
thank the fire department, because I drove by when they were installing it. There was
So,
3 people out
the
there.
fire department installed their posts, the sign, I've got the proof, the signs they're supposed to come in, and start they should have it in within the next week roughly, or 2 at the latest. Our board was on back order. When it comes in, my thoughts are to cover it and try to do a quick ceremony, unveiling if we can with the families around, and then, and I apologize now to anybody who couldn't find the building while the sign was down, because we did have quite a few people who couldn't find the building, so.
Speaking of signs, has the O'Reilly auto parts sign always been where it is? Did I just notice, I drove by it the other day, it was like right out there at the end of
Yeah.
the street.
I don't think they moved it, but they've always had one lit up, it shuts down at,
So they ran, or maybe it was lit.
no, they're allowed, they came through a process and got,
Okay.
they had to shut off for a certain time.
Okay,
The
thank
post is
you.
on the corner.
Yeah.
You cut it to the right.
Make a motion to go.
No, we're not done yet.
It's not done, but if I may,
Scott.
add one thing about
Change it.
signs. The sign at the foot of Oh, let me wait for permission.
You may do anything.
He's running the meeting now. isn't he?
While we're on the subject of signs, the sign at the foot of the lake for the town of Bristol is deteriorating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which one?
the one that's right at the bottom of the hill in Hobart, the one where the.
The big one.
used to be.
With the fish.
Yeah.
The
It
fish,
is, that's the one, we don't have the money to replace it this
Right.
year, because we got the other two done.
We might be able to just scrape and repaint, but.
No,
The woods.
it's been deteriorating since they put it in my opinion, but,
Okay.
also, do we know, while you're on signs, the welcome to Bristol sign is nasty looking? It looks like it needs to be washed, but can you wash them? And
I would think so.
Miley's hurt, so.
Yeah.
it's the one coming in from, on Mayhew Turnpike, the welcome to this, that, it looks dirty, it looks gross, but.
So I would think
Highway.
warm water or Dawn dish soap. You
Right.
Gentle detergent.
Oh, yeah, Dawn dish soap.
Pressure washer.
can wash ducks with it, why couldn't you wash a sign? It's true.
Okay, so,
It actually is.
You got your chance, are we
I didn't
done?
finish.
Yeah, you're one.
I got
One more-
interrupted.
one more thing.
Interrupted.
She can go on all night if she wants.
I know.
If you let her.
We're doing coffee with the, I told some people before, not everybody was here, we're doing coffee with the TA. I'm doing coffee with the TA.
Well, you are
It
the
doesn't-
TA, so that's
It
good.
doesn't come out of the budget, I'm paying for it, but I started it, I've done the first two sessions. At the first session, there was a discussion about, employees and the interns have to keep going on the public network and checking off the approval to get on it, and then they weren't secure. So we talked to the IT company, and they set up an employee internet. So we have a public Wi-Fi that anybody from the public can get on. It keeps them away from all town programs. And then you have an employee, which I'll get you guys the password as well, but you just don't search something you're not supposed to. No. But employee internet is, you're allowed, can get on, and you just have to sign a waiver, and then you're protected from it as well. And then there's a town where all of your town equipment is placed on.
So the employee one can be used for informal things between employees,
it-
like the intranet we used to have.
It could
before,
be,
right?
it could, like my private phone, I could put on the employee internet Wi-Fi, so. But it would keep me from somebody hacking into my phone in the public network, and it would keep me from exposing the town network.
But
So
they
this way-
can use it for what they want, in
Yes.
essence.
So you just have to sign, you just have to click off a waiver the very first time. Part of it was brought up was the fire department interns kept having to check off every time they went in, and it didn't always work for them. So they had to, actually, you have to sign in every time to the public network. So we got this mainly for them, but then I got thinking, why are we only doing it for one department? We should just do it across the board, so.
So every town building has that?
Every town building has the same Wi-Fi now.
Yeah.
Same, town private Wi-Fi, employee Wi-Fi, and then public Wi-Fi, so.
Nice,
We're all on the same program.
nice.
Also at that meeting, it was brought up about concerns about the crosswalks. It's mainly the ones up the bike path. I did explain we're not allowed to put up we're not allowed to paint a crosswalk because they want, but they asked if we could consider, the blinking signs.
State said no.
State
Back
said
then.
yes.
Oh, do they now?
No, but they're expensive. They did this individual sent me some links. We don't have, obviously we don't have the money
When
now.
did this come up?
Coffee with the TA.
Oh, and the bike path came up?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And concerns with not having painted sidewalk,
Yeah,
crosswalks.
it was ridiculous that they wouldn't let us.
They
put
won't let
any
us
warnings
paint.
or anything back then.
But now they will let you do, I don't think they will let you do, because we also, I'm gonna double check, because they will let you do it, like we talked about it at the middle school, because they won't put up another light. And I said, it's really dark there. I don't know how many kids I've watched near miss, crossing that crosswalk. car stopped one night for my daughter and the other car rear-ended it. And so,
So, question on the Wi-Fi.
I have to get new passwords.
Right, so like, I look here, I mean, TOB employee Wi-Fi, right?
Yep.
So I sign into that, if I go to water and sewer,
It's still there, yeah.
I'm automatically connected to water and sewer, public safety building, wherever.
Town employee Wi-Fi, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. So the private town of Bristol Wi-Fi is in all the buildings too. I can
Yeah, I
take
see
my
that, yeah.
laptop and I can go to the fire department and I can remotely connect to my computer now.
Nice.
From here without having to go
Nice.
through a VPN.
That's cool.
So it's, part of that was all with that network overhaul that we've done, so.
Good.
Really good changes. In case I didn't tell you, the carpet was cleaned, all through the building. Upstairs looks really nice. There's some of the stains did not
Carol,
come
you were
out.
gonna make a motion.
I'm going to the next thing really quick. One thing we didn't announce at the last meeting because they hadn't accepted, congratulations to Jonathan Southland for the foreman position. He was promoted at the highway department. Trevor Roby was moved into an equipment operator position. And we want to welcome Jacob Roya. He is now the new grade and ground maintenance operator. Also want to congratulate Ethan Davio. He is promoted to chief water operator.
Nice.
That's it. I'll shut up now.
Carol.
Make a motion to go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91A3, 2A, B, and C,
And D.
and D.
Second.
Motion by Carol, second by Scott, to win a non-public session. Roll call vote, Carol.
Aye.
Nuss.
Aye.
Rob, aye. Scott,
Aye.
what are you laughing at?
You got it right.